Happy Sukkot, brothers and sisters. Welcome to the Parable of the Vineyard YouTube Sukkot Torah live stream reading. My name is Adam, your host, and I welcome you. And today is the fifth and final day of our 5-day Torah reading. We've read so far Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, and Numbers, and today is Debarim, the book of Deuteronomy. And what we're doing here is it's probably a very feeble attempt, but we're trying to do the best we can to fulfill what Deuteronomy 31, 9 through 13 says, which is during the time of Sukkot, the Torah was to be read. And so that's what we're doing. And so I welcome you and pray this will be a blessing for you and your family and anyone that may hear. Let's go ahead and read Deuteronomy. The little section, we'll end up reading that again later, but we'll read that little section. We'll start with a prayer and that Abba bless our reading and our hearing. And we'll get going. All right, here we go. All right, so Deuteronomy 31, 9 through 13. And Moshe wrote this Torah and delivered it unto the priests, the sons of Levi, which bore the ark of the covenant of Yahuah, and unto all the elders of Yisrael. And Moshe commanded them, saying, at the end of every 7 years, in the solemnity of the year of release, and the feast of Sukkot, which we're in the midst of now, well, a few days left, unfortunately. When all Israel is come to appear before Yahuah in the place which he shall choose, you shall read this Torah before all Israel in their hearing. Gather the people together, men and women and children, and your stranger that is within your gates, that they may hear, and that they may learn, and fear Yahuah and guard to do all the words of this Torah. And that their children, which have not known anything, may hear and learn to fear Yahuah as long as ye live in the land whether you go over the Jordan to possess it. So again, feeble attempt. We're not in our land. We're in dispersion still. Couldn't even tell you if this is the 7th year, the year of release, but it was just laid on my heart that we should do the whole Torah during the week of Sukkot. So here we are. And again, we're going to be reading from the Septuagint version. If you're unfamiliar with the Septuagint version, it's roughly 1,100 years older than the Masoretic text, which the Masoretic manuscript is what the KJV, the CEPHER, the ESV, the TS 2009. I mean, most of the versions you read are typically from the Masoretic, and like I said, the Septuagint is roughly 200 BC, whereas the Masoretic is about 900 AD. So there are some differences, and I have actually found the Septuagint to be, quite frankly, a treasure hunt, because there's so many different things that we can learn and understand. Maybe some scribal errors, as the years went on, but there's certainly a lot of things to find, I believe, in the Septuagint that are quite the blessing. And so I thought this was a great time to put this before many of you that many of you may have never heard the Septuagint before. So with that, let's go ahead and start with a prayer, and we're going to get reading. We got a lot to read, so let's get started. Let's bow our hearts. Heavenly Father, Yahuah, the Elohim of Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, we just come before you in Yahusha's name. We thank you for sending your word for us that we may be reconciled back to you. We thank you for lifting the blinders off our eyes to know and recognize and to see that your Torah still stands, and it is actually a blessing. It is more desirable than gold, sweeter than honey, and in keeping thereof there is great reward. And we just thank you for this, and we pray that you help cultivate in our heart the right fruit that you so desire. And we pray that you continue to bless us and help us in all the different scenarios we have in our different lives. But nevertheless, we pray that this reading be a blessing for you and for anyone that may hear. And we pray that you open our eyes and ears fully to see the wondrous matters written in your Torah. We love you. We bless you, and happy Sukkot, and thank you for this wonderful festival. Amen and amen. All right, brothers and sisters, the book of Debarim, Deuteronomy, which, by the way, Deuteronomy in the English, it means second law, but in the Hebrew, Debarim, it just means words, has nothing to do with a second law, and unfortunately, the English name has led credibility to, this was just the added law, but quite frankly, it's really a summary of everything that we learned in the first 4 books. There's a few extra little things in here, but really, I find that the book of Deuteronomy is probably one of the most important for us to read if we want to get a summary of everything that we kind of need to glean in our walk, and really what the Torah, it basically is a summary of the Torah, if you will. So, anyways, with that, no more delays. Let's get right to it. I say let's get right to it. It's been like a 16-minute delay. All right. Deuteronomy Chapter 1, Septuagint version. These are the words which Moshe spoke to all Israel on this side of Jordan, in the desert, toward the west, near the Red Sea, between Paran Tophel and Lobon and Aul and the gold works. It is a journey of 11 days from Horeb to Mount Seir, as far as Kadesh Barnea. And it came to pass in the 40th year, in the 11th month, on the first day of the month, Moshe spoke to all the children of Israel according to all the things which Yahuah commanded him for them. After he had smitten Sihon, king of the Amorites, who dwelt in Heshbon, and Og, king of Bashan, who dwelt in Ashtaroth, and Edrain beyond Jordan in the land of Moab. Moshe began to declare this law, saying, Yahuah, your Elohim, spoke to us in Horeb, saying, Let it suffice you to have dwelt so long in this mountain. Turn ye, and depart, and enter into the mountain of the Amorites, and go to all that dwell near about to Arabah, to the mountain and the plain, and to the south, and the land of the Canaanites near the sea, and to Libanus, as far as the great river, the river Euphrates. Behold, Elohim has delivered the land before you. Go in and inherit the land which I swear to your fathers, Abraham and Yitzchak and Yaakov, to give it to them and to their seed after them. And I spoke to you at that time, saying, I shall not be able by myself to bear you. And Yahuah your Elohim has multiplied you, and behold, ye are today as the stars of heaven for multitude. Yahuah Eloheinu of your fathers add to you 1,000-fold more than you are, and bless you as he has spoken to you. How shall I alone be able to bear your labor, and your burden, and your gainsayings? Take to yourselves wise and understanding and prudent men from your tribes, and I will set your leaders over you. And he answered me and said, The thing which thou hast told us is good to do. So I took of you wise and understanding and prudent men, and I set them to rule over you as rulers of thousands, and rulers of hundreds, and rulers of 50s, and rulers of 10s, and officers to your judges. And I charged your judges at that time, saying, Hear causes between your brethren, and judge rightly between a man and his brother, and the stranger that is with him. And thou shalt not have respect to persons in judgment. Thou shalt judge small and great equally. Thou shalt not shrink from before the person of man, for the judgment is Elohim's. And whatsoever matter shall be too hard for you, ye shall bring it to me, and I will hear it. And I charged upon you at that time all the commands which ye shall perform. And we departed from Horeb, and went through all that great wilderness and terrible, which ye saw, by the way the mountain of the Amorite, as Yahuah our Elohim charged us. And we came as far as Kadesh Barnea. And I said to you, Ye have come as far as the mountain of the Amorite, which Yahuah our Elohim gives to you. Behold, Yahuah your Elohim has delivered us to the land before you. And go up and inherit it, as Yahuah Elohim of your fathers said to you. Fear not, neither be afraid. And ye all came to me, and said, Let us send men before us, and let them go up to the land for us, and let them bring back to us a report of the way which we shall go up, and of the cities into which we shall enter. And the sayings pleased me. And I took of you 12 men, one man of a tribe, and they turned and went up to the mountain. And they came as far as the valley of the cluster, and surveyed it. And they took in their hands the fruit of the land, and brought it to you, and said, The land is good, which Yahuah our Elohim gives us. Yet ye would not go up, but rebelled against the words of Yahuah our Elohim. And ye murmured in your tents, and said, Because Yahuah hated us, he has brought us out of the land of Egypt to deliver us into the hands of the Amorites, to destroy us. Whither do we go up? And your brethren drew away your hearts, saying, It is a great nation, and populous, and mightier than we. And there are cities great and walled up to heaven. Moreover, we saw there the sons of the giants. And I said to you, Fear not, neither be afraid of them. Yahuah your Elohim, who goes before your face, he shall fight against them together with you effectually, according to all that he wrought for you in the land of Egypt. And in this wilderness which ye saw by the way of the mountain of the Amorite, how Yahuah your Elohim will bear thee as a nursling, as if any man should nurse his child, through all the way which ye have gone until you came to this place. And in this matter ye believe not Yahuah your Elohim, who goes before you in the way to choose you a place, guiding you in fire by night, showing you the way by which you should go, and a cloud by day, And Yahuah heard the voice of your words, and being greatly provoked, he swears, saying, Not one of these men shall see this good land, which I swear to their fathers, except Caleb, the son of Jephunneh. He shall see it, and to him I will give the land on which he went up, and to his sons, because he attended to the things of Yahuah. And Yahuah was angry with me for your sake, saying, Neither shalt thou by any means enter therein. Yahusha, the son of Nun, who stands by thee, he shall enter in there. Do thou strengthen him, for he shall cause Israel to inherit it. And every young child who this day knows not good or evil, they shall enter therein. And to them I will give it, and they shall inherit it. And he turned and marched into the wilderness in the way by the Red Sea. And he answered and said, We have sinned before Yahuah our Elohim. We will go up and fight according to all that Yahuah our Elohim has commanded us. And having taken away every one of his weapons of war, and being scattered together, ye went up to the mountain. And Yahuah said to me, Tell them, Ye shall not go up, neither shall you fight, for I am not with you. Thus shall ye not be destroyed before your enemies. And I spoke to you, and ye did not hearken to me, and ye transgressed the commandment of Yahuah. And ye forced your way and went up into the mountain. And the Amorite who dwelt in that mountain came out to meet you, and pursued you as bees do, and wounded you from Mount Seir to Hermah. And ye sat down and wept before Yahuah our Elohim. And Yahuah hearkened not to your voice, neither did he take heed to you. And ye dwelt in Kadesh many days as ye dwelt there. Chapter 2. And we turned and departed into the wilderness by the way of the Red Sea, as Yahuah spoke to me. And we compassed Mount Seir many days. And Yahuah said to me, You have compassed this mount long enough. Turn therefore toward the north, and charge the people, saying, Ye are going through the borders of your brethren, the children of Esau, who dwell in Seir. And they shall fear you, and dread you greatly. Do not engage in war against them, for I will not give you of their land, even enough to set your foot upon. For I have given Mount Seir to the children of Esau as an inheritance. Buy food of them for money and eat, and ye shall receive water of them by measure for money and drink. For Yahuah our Elohim has blessed you in every work of thy hands. Consider how thou wentst through that great and terrible wilderness. Behold, Yahuah thy Elohim has been with thee 40 years. Thou didst not lack anything. And we passed by our brethren, the children of Esau, who dwelt in Seir, by the way of Arba, from Elon, and from Gezon Geber. And we turned and passed by the way of the desert of Moab. And Yahuah said to me, Do not ye quarrel with the Moabites, and do not engage in war with them, for I will not give you of their land for an inheritance. For I have given Aroer to the children of Lot to inherit. Formerly the Omim dwelt in it, a great and numerous nation and powerful, like the Anakim. These also shall be accounted Rephaim, like Anakim, and the Moabites call them Omim. And the Horite dwelt in Seir before, and the sons of Esau destroyed them, and utterly consumed them from before them. And they dwelt in their place, as Israel did to the land of his inheritance, which Yahuah gave to them. Now then, arise ye, said I, and depart, and cross the valley of Zeret. And the days in which we traveled from Kadesh Barnea till we crossed the valley of Zeret were 38 years, until the whole generation of the men of war failed, dying out of the camp, as Yahuah Elohim swore to them. And the hand of Yahuah was upon them to destroy them out of the midst of the camp until they were consumed. And it came to pass, when all the men of war dying out of the midst of the people had fallen, that Yahuah spoke to me, saying, Thou shalt pass over this day the borders of Moab to Aroer. And ye shall draw nigh to the children of Ammon. Do not quarrel with them, nor wage war with them, for I will not give thee of the land of the children of Ammon for an inheritance, because I have given it to the children of Lot for an inheritance. It shall be accounted a land of Rephaim, for the Rephaim dwelt there before, and the Ammonites called them Zahomin, or Zemzumin, a great nation and populous, and mightier than you, as also the Anakim. Yet Yahuah destroyed them from before them, and they inherited their land, and they dwelt there instead of them until this day. As they did to the children of Esau that dwelt in Seir, even as they destroyed the Horite from before them, and inherited their country, and dwelt therein instead of them until this day. And the Evites, who dwelt in Asadoth to Gaza, and the Cappadocians, who came out of Cappadocia, destroyed them, and dwelt in their room. Now then, arise, depart, and pass over the valley of Arnon. Behold, I have delivered into thy hands Sihon, king of Heshbon, the Amorite, and his land. Begin to inherit it. Engage in war with him this day. Begin to put thy terror and thy fear on the face of all the nations under heaven, who shall be troubled when they heard thy name, and shall be in anguish before thee. And I sent ambassadors from the wilderness of Kedemoth to Sihon, king of Heshbon, with peaceable words, saying, I will pass through thy land. I will go by the road. I will not turn aside to the right hand or to the left. Thou shalt give me food for money, and I will eat, and thou shalt give me water for money, and I will drink. I will only go through on my feet. And the sons of Esau did to me who dwelt in Seir, and the Moabites who dwelt in Aroer, until I shall have passed Jordan into the land which Yahuah our Elohim gives us. And Sihon, king of Heshbon, would not that we should pass by him, because Yahuah our Elohim hardened his spirit, and made his heart stubborn, that he might be delivered into thy hands, as on this day. And Yahuah said to me, Behold, I have begun to deliver before thee Sihon, the king of Heshbon, the Amorite, and his land, and do thou begin to inherit his land. And Sihon, the king of Heshbon, came forth to meet us, and he and all his people to war at Jassa. And Yahuah our Elohim delivered him before our face, and we smote him, and his sons, and all his people. And we took possession of all his cities at that time. And we utterly destroyed every city in succession, and their wives, and their children. We left no living prey. Only we took the cattle captive, and took the spoil of the cities from Aroer, which is by the brink of the brook Arnon, and the city which is in the valley, as far as the mount of Gilead. There was not a city which escaped us. Yahuah our Elohim delivered all of them into our hands. Only we did not draw near to the children of Ammon, even all the parts bordering on the brook Yabok, and the cities in the mountain country, as Yahuah our Elohim charges. And I just want to make one little quick note. Some people will mock the Torah because it says they utterly destroyed everything, wives, children, everything. There's a reason for it. These people. They had their blood was mixed with the giants, and giants didn't belong on earth. We're not going to get too far into it, but we know from Genesis 6 that the sons of Elohim, the Watchers, they came down, they mated with women, and they created these giants. And yes, even after the flood, they reemerged through Nimrod. That's a whole other story. We'll talk about that another time. But these people were mixed DNA, or they were mixed blood, and like I said, this earth was not created for them, and so it was the righteous judgment of Yahuah to eradicate that blood off of the land. So that was, I think, one of the reasons why Genesis 6 was covered up as to the truth about angels coming down and mating with women. Chapter 3. And we turned and went by the way leading to Bashan, and Og, king of Bashan, came out to meet us, he and all his people, to battle at Edraim. And Yahuah said to me, Fear him not, for I have delivered him and all his people and all his land into thy hands, and thou shalt do to him as thou didst to Sihon, king of the Amorites, who dwelt in Heshbon. And Yahuah our Elohim delivered him into our hands, even Og, the king of Bashan, and all his people, and we smote him until we left none of his seed. And that's kind of the point, his seed, because Og was a giant as well. And we mastered all his cities at that time, and there was not a city which we took not from them. 60 cities, all the country round about Argob, belonging to King Og in Bashan, all strong cities, lofty walls, gates, and bars, besides the very many cities of the Perizzites. We utterly destroyed them as we dealt with Sihon, the king of Heshbon. So we utterly destroyed every city in order, and the women and the children and all the cattle. Here's again. And we took for a prey to ourselves the spoil of the cities, and then even the cattle, because as we learn in books like Jasher, they didn't only mix with, kind of tamper with the DNA with people, but animals as well. And so even the animals had a corrupted DNA as well, or I don't even know what DNA, if that's the right word, the corrupted blood. How about that? And we took at that time the land out of the hands of the 2 kings of the Amorites who were beyond Jordan, extending from the brook of Arnon even unto Aroman. The Phoenicians call Aroman Sanior, but the Amorite called it Sanir. All the cities of Misor, and all Gilead, and all Bashan, as far as Elka and Edzraim, cities of the kingdom of Og in Bashan. For only Og, the king of Bashan, was left of the Rephaim. Behold, his bed was a bed of iron. Behold, it is in the chief city of the children of Ammon. The length of it is 9 cubits, and the breadth of it 4 cubits. I'm terrible with the conversion. What is that, like 16 feet long, the bed, or 13 feet long? Maybe it's 16 feet. I'm just guessing. It's a big bed, so it's telling you his bed was like huge. He was a giant. according to the cubit of a man. And we inherited that land at the time from Aroer, which is by the border of the torrent Arnon, and the half mount of Gilead. And I gave his cities to Reuben and to Gad, and the rest of Gilead, and all Bashan, the kingdom of Og, I gave to the half tribe of Manasseh, and all the country round about Argob, all the Bashan. It shall be accounted the land of Rephaim, which was one of the tribes of the giants. And Yair, the son of Manasseh, took all the country round about Argob, as far as the borders of Gargasi and Machathi. He called them by his name Bashan, Thavoth, Yair, until this day. And to Machir I gave Gilead, and to Reuben and to Gad I gave the land under Gilead as far as the brook Arnon, the border between the brook and as far as Yabok, and the brook is the border of the children of Ammon. And Arba and Jordan are the boundary of Menachareth, even to the sea of Arba, the salt sea under Asedoth Phazga, eastward. And I charge you at that time, saying, Yahuah your Elohim has given you this land by lot. Arm yourselves, everyone that is powerful, and go before your brethren, the children of Israel. Only your wives and your children and your cattle, I know that you have much cattle. Let them dwell in your cities, which I have given you, until Yahuah your Elohim give your brethren rest, as also he has given to you. And they also shall inherit the land which Yahuah our Elohim gives them on the other side of Jordan. Then ye shall return, each one to his inheritance, which I have given you. And I commanded Yahusha at that time, saying, Your eyes have seen all the things which Yahuah our Elohim did to these two kings. So shall Yahuah our Elohim do to all the kingdoms against which thou crossest over thither. Ye shall not be afraid of them, because Yahuah our Elohim himself shall fight for you. And I besought Yahuah at that time, saying, Yahuah Elohim, thou hast begun to show thy servant thy strength, and thy power, and thy mighty hand, and thy high arm. For what Elohim is there in heaven or on the earth who will do as thou hast done, and according to thy might? I will therefore go over and see this good land that is beyond Jordan, this good mountain, and Anti-Libanus. And Yahuah, because of you, did not regard me, and hearkened not to me. And Yahuah said to me, Let it suffice you. Speak not of this matter to me any more. Go up to the top of the quarried rock, and look with thine eyes westward, and northward, and southward, and eastward, and behold it with your eyes, for you shall not go over this Jordan. And charge Yahusha, and strengthen him, and encourage him, for he shall go before the face of this people, and he shall give them the inheritance of all the land which thou hast seen. And we abode in the valley near the house of Fogor. And by the way, one last thing on the Yahuah commanding them to go kill everything, man, woman, child, everything that breathes. If you'll notice, and we'll actually see this in the book of Deuteronomy here later, but in other words, if it wasn't these Canaanitish tribes that had the giant blood mixed in, other nations, they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't kill the cattle. They wouldn't kill the wives and the children. They would kill all the men. That's kind of standard for any kind of warfare. But they would take the others in as captives, if you will. But they would save their lives. And so you'll see there's a difference. But it was only specifically these tribes of the Canaanites that had this giant blood, where everything had to be destroyed. And if the people that mock the Torah, if they were living in those times and saw what happened with those people, because the giants ended up eating people, they were eating blood. I mean, it's just a nightmare. They would probably want the same thing done, but they weren't there, and so they don't know any better, and that's why they mock the Torah with things like that. Chapter 4. And now, Yisrael, hear the ordinances and judgments, all that I teach you this day to do, that you may live and be multiplied, and that you may go in and inherit the land which Yahuah Elohim of your fathers gives you. Ye shall not add to the word which I command you, and ye shall not take from it. Keep the commandments of Yahuah our Elohim, all that I command you this day. Your eyes have seen all that Yahuah our Elohim did in the case of Baal Peor. For every man that went after Baal Peor, Yahuah your Elohim has utterly destroyed him from among you. But ye that kept close to Yahuah your Elohim are all alive today. Behold, I have shown you ordinances and judgments as Yahuah commanded me, that ye should do so in the land which ye go to inherit it, and ye shall keep and do them. For this is your wisdom and your understanding before all nations. So keeping the commandments is your wisdom. As many as shall hear all these ordinances, they shall say, Behold, this great nation is a wise and understanding people. For what manner of nation is so great, which has Elohim so near to them, as Yahuah our Elohim is in all things, and whatsoever we may call upon him? And what manner of nation is so great, which has righteous ordinances and judgments according to all this Torah, which I set before you this day. Take heed to yourself, and keep thy heart diligently. Forget not any of the things which thine eyes have seen, and let them not depart from thine heart all the days of thy life. And thou shalt teach thy sons and thy sons' sons, even the things that happened in the day in which ye stood before Yahuah our Elohim in Horeb, in the day of the assembly. For Yahuah said to me, Gather the people to me, and let them hear my words, that they may learn to fear me all the days which they live upon the earth. And they shall teach their sons. And ye drew nigh and stood under the mountain, and the mountain burned with fire up to heaven. There was darkness, blackness, and tempest. And Yahuah spoke to you out of the midst of a fire, voice of words, which ye heard, and ye saw no likeness, only ye heard a voice. And he announced to you his covenant, which he commanded you to keep, even the 10 commandments. And he wrote them on 2 tables of stone. And Yahuah commanded me at that time to teach you ordinances and judgments, that you should learn, that you should do them on the land into which you go to inherit it. And take good heed to your hearts, for ye saw no similitude in the day in which Yahuah spoke to you in Horeb in the mountain out of the midst of the fire, lest ye transgress and make to yourselves a carved image, any kind of figure, the likeness of male or female, the likeness of any beast of those that are on the earth, the likeness of any winged bird which flies under heaven, the likeness of any reptile which creeps on the earth, the likeness of any fish of those which are in the waters under the earth. And lest, having looked up to the sky, and having seen the sun and the moon and the stars, and all the heavenly bodies, thou shouldst go astray and worship them and serve them, which Yahuah your Elohim has distributed to all the nations under heaven. But Elohim took you, and led you forth out of the land of Egypt, out of the iron furnace, out of Egypt, to be to him a people of inheritance, as at this day. And Yahuah Eloheinu was angry with me for the things said by you, and sware that I should not go over this Jordan, that I should not enter into the land which Yahuah thy Elohim giveth you for an inheritance. For I am to die in this land, and shall not pass over this Jordan, but ye are to pass over, and shall inherit this good land. Take heed to yourselves, lest ye forget the covenant of Yahuah our Elohim, which he made with you, and ye transgress, and make to yourselves a graven image of any of the things concerning which Yahuah thy Elohim commanded you. For Yahuah your Elohim is a consuming fire, a jealous Elohim. And when thou shalt have begotten sons, and shalt have sons' sons, and ye shall have dwelt a long time in the land, and ye shall have transgressed, and made a graven image of anything, and shall have done wickedly before Yahuah your Elohim to provoke him, I call heaven and earth this day to witness against you, that ye shall surely perish from off the land, into which ye go across Jordan to inherit it there. Ye shall not prolong your days upon it, but shall be utterly cut off. And Yahuah shall scatter you among all the nations, and ye shall be left few in number among all the nations among which Yahuah shall bring to you. And ye shall serve there other Elohim, the works of the hands of men, wood and stones, which cannot see, nor can they hear, nor eat, nor smell. And there ye shall seek Yahuah your Elohim, and ye shall find him whenever ye shall seek him with all your heart and with all your soul, in your affliction. And all these things shall come upon you in the last days, and thou shalt turn, And thou shalt turn to Yahuah your Elohim, and shall hearken to his voice, because Yahuah your Elohim is a Elohim of pity. He will not forsake you, nor destroy you. He will not forget the covenant of your fathers, which Yahuah sware to them. Ask of the former days which were before you, from the day when Elohim created man upon the earth, and the beginning at the one end of heaven to the other end of heaven, if there has happened anything like to this great event, if such a thing has been heard, if a nation have heard the voice of the living Elohim speaking out of the midst of the fire, as thou hast heard and hast lived. If Elohim has essayed to go and take to himself a nation out of the midst of another nation, with trial, and with signs, and with wonders, and with war, and with a mighty hand, and with a high arm, and with great sights, according to all the things which Yahuah our Elohim did in Egypt in your sight, so that thou shouldst know that Yahuah thy Elohim, he is Elohim, and there is none beside him. His voice was made audible from heaven to instruct you, and he showed you upon the earth his great fire, and thou heardest his words out of the midst of the fire. Because he loved thy fathers, he also chose you, their seed after them, and he brought thee himself with his great strength out of Egypt, to destroy nations greater and stronger than you before your face, to bring you in, and to give you their land to inherit it. as you have seen this day. And you shall know this day, and shall consider in your heart, that Yahuah thy Elohim, he is Elohim in heaven above, and on the earth beneath, and there is none else but he. And keep you his commandments and his ordinances, all that I command you this day, that it may be well with you, and with your sons after you, that you may be long lived upon the earth, which Yahuah your Elohim gives you forever. Then Moshe separated the 3 cities beyond Jordan on the east, that the slayer might flee thither, who should have slain his neighbor unintentionally, and should not have hated him in times past. And he shall flee to one of these cities and live. Bosor in the wilderness, in the plain country of Reuben, and Ramoth in Gilead belonging to Gad, and Golan in Bashan belonging to Manasseh. This is the Torah which Moshe set before the children of Israel. These are the testimonies and the ordinances and the judgments which Moshe spoke to the sons of Israel when they came out of the land of Egypt, on the other side of Jordan, in the valley near the house of Fogor, in the land of Sihon, king of the Amorites, who dwelt in Heshbon, whom Moshe and the sons of Israel smote when they came out of the land of Egypt, and they inherited his land, and the land of Og, king of Bashan, 2 kings of the Amorites, who were beyond Jordan eastward, from Aroer, which is on the border of the brook of Arnon, even to the mount of Sihon, which is Armon. All Arabah beyond Jordan eastward under Asadoth, hewn in the rock. Sorry, there's a lot of mouthful there. Deuteronomy Chapter 5, Septuagint version. And Moshe called all Israel and said to them, Hear, Yisrael, the ordinances and judgments, all that I speak in your ears this day, and ye shall learn them, and observe to do them. Yahuah your Elohim made a covenant with you in Horeb. Yahuah did not make this covenant with your fathers, but with you. You are all here alive this day. Yahuah spoke to you face to face in the mountain, out of the midst of the fire, and I stood between Yahuah and you at that time to report you the words of Yahuah, because you were afraid before the fire, and you went not up to the mountain, saying, I am Yahuah, thy Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. You shall have no other Elohim before my face. Thou shalt not to make to thyself an image, nor likeness of anything, whatever things are in heaven above, and whatever are in the earth beneath, and whatever are in the waters under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down to them, nor shalt thou serve them. For I, Yahuah, your Elohim, a jealous Elohim, visiting the sins of the fathers upon the children to the 3rd and 4th generation to them that hate me, and doing mercifully to thousands of them that love me, and that keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of Yahuah thy Elohim in vain, for Yahuah thy Elohim will certainly not acquit him that takes his name in vain. Keep the Sabbath day to sanctify it, as Yahuah thy Elohim commanded you. 6 days shalt thou work, and shalt do all thy works. But on the 7th day is the Shabbat of Yahuah thy Elohim. Thou shalt not do it in any work, you, or your son, and your daughter, thy manservant, and thy maidservant, thine ox, and thine ass, and all thy cattle, and the stranger that sojourns in the midst of you, that thy manservant may rest, and thy maidservant, and thine ox, as well as you. And ye shall remember that you were a slave in the land of Egypt, and Yahuah thy Elohim brought you out thence with a mighty hand and a high arm. Therefore Yahuah appointed you to keep this Shabbat day to sanctify it. Honor your father and your mother, as Yahuah commanded you, that it may be well with you, and that thou mayest live long upon the land which Yahuah thy Elohim gives you. You shall not commit murder. Right? This is a little different than just kill. It's murder. Because if it was just killing, think of all the wars. They had to kill people. It's murder. Thou shalt not commit murder. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house, nor his field, nor his manservant, nor his maid, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor any beast of his, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. These words Yahuah spoke to all the assembly of you in the mountain out of the midst of the fire. There was darkness, blackness, storm, a loud voice, and he added no more. And he wrote them on 2 tables of stone, and he gave them to me. And it came to pass, when he heard the voice out of the midst of the fire, for the mountain burned with fire, that ye came to me, even all the heads of your tribes and your elders, and ye said, Behold, Yahuah our Elohim has shown us his glory, and we have heard his voice out of the midst of the fire. This day we have seen that Elohim shall speak to man, and he shall live. And now let us not die, for this great fire will consume us, if we shall hear the voice of Yahuah our Elohim any more, and we shall die. For what flesh is there, which has heard the voice of the living Elohim speaking out of the midst of the fire, as we have heard and shall live? Do thou draw near, and hear all that Yahuah our Elohim shall say, and thou shalt speak to us all things whatsoever Yahuah our Elohim shall speak to you, and we will hear and do. And Yahuah heard the voice of your words as ye spoke to me. And Yahuah said to me, I have heard the voice of the words of this people, even all things that they have said to thee. They have well said all that I have spoken. Oh, that there were such a heart in them, that they should fear me and keep my commands always, that it might be well with them and with their sons forever. Go, say to them, return ye to your houses, but stand thou here with me. And I will tell thee all the commands, and the ordinances, and the judgments, which thou shalt teach them. And let them do so in the land which I give them for an inheritance. And ye shall take heed to do as Yahuah the Elohim has commanded you. Ye shall not turn aside to the right hand or to the left, according to all the way which Yahuah the Elohim commanded thee to walk in it, that he may give thee rest, and that it may be well with you, and he may prolong your days on the land which ye shall inherit. Big chapter, Deuteronomy Chapter 6. And these are the commands and the ordinances and the judgments, as many as Yahuah our Elohim gave commandment to teach you to do so in the land on which ye enter to inherit it, that you may fear Yahuah your Elohim, to keep all his ordinances and his commandments, which I command to thee this day, you and your sons sons all the days of your life, that ye may live many days. Hear therefore, O Israel, and observe to do them, that it may be well with you, and that you may be greatly multiplied, as Yahuah Eloheinu thy fathers said, that he would give thee a land flowing with milk and honey, as these are the ordinances and the judgments which Yahuah commanded the children of Israel in the wilderness when they had gone forth from the land of Egypt. Hear, O Israel, Yahuah our Eloheinu is one Adonai, and thou shalt love Yahuah thy Elohim with all thy mind, and with all thy soul, and with all thy strength. And these words, all that I command you this day, shall be in your heart and in your soul. And thou shalt teach them to thy children, and thou shalt speak of them sitting in the house, and walking by the way, and lying down, and rising up. And thou shalt fasten them for a sign upon thine hand, and it shall be immovable before thine eyes, and shall write them on the lintels of your houses and of your gates. And let me just say this really quickly. You know, when people talk about, you know, the Jeremiah, where it says, I'll put my Torah in your heart. I'll put my laws in your heart. This is what it's referencing right here. Not that I'll put it in your heart so that you just follow your heart and do whatever you want. I'm going to put my Torah in your heart so you actually keep them, right? And he also says here, focus on them day and night. When you rise up, when you lay down, when you're walking by the way. And of course, the opposite of the mark of the beast, right? Hand, forehead. So really important stuff. And it shall come to pass, when Yahuah thy Elohim shall have brought thee into the land which he sware to thy fathers, to Abraham and to Yitzchak and to Yaakov, to give thee great and beautiful cities which thou didst not build, houses full of all good things which thou didst not fill, wells dug in the rock which thou didst not dig, vineyards and oliveyards which thou didst not plant. Then having eaten and been filled, beware, lest thou forget Yahuah thy Elohim that brought thee forth out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt fear Yahuah thy Elohim, and him only shalt thou serve, and thou shalt cleave to him, and by his name thou shalt swear. And this cleave, right, this is the same thing that said a man shall leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife, right, to be like one, to be a chad. And by the way, earlier it said, Yahuah Elohim is one, and so people will say, some people will deny Messiah because of that. Some people will say Messiah is also the Father because of that. But if you read John 17, it's a prayer to the Father. He also, Messiah says that he wanted all his disciples to be one as he and his Father were one. Echad doesn't mean just literally the number one, but it means to be as one. Go ye not after other Elohim of the Elohim of the nation round about you, for Yahuah the Elohim in the midst of thee is a jealous Elohim, lest Yahuah the Elohim be very angry with thee, and destroy thee from off the face of the earth. Thou shalt not tempt Yahuah the Elohim, as he tempted him in the temptation. Thou shalt by all means keep the commands of Yahuah the Elohim, the testimonies and the ordinances which he commanded you. And thou shalt do that which is pleasing and good before Yahuah the Elohim, that it may be well with you, and thou mayest go in and inherit the good land, which Yahuah sware to your fathers, to chase all thine enemies from before thy face, as Yahuah said. And it shall come to pass, when thy son shall ask thee at a future time, saying, What are the testimonies and the ordinances and the judgments which Yahuah our Elohim has commanded us? Then thou shalt say to thy son, We were slaves to Pharaoh in the land of Egypt, and Yahuah brought us thence with a mighty hand and with a high arm. And Yahuah wrought signs and great and grievous wonders in Egypt on Pharaoh and on his house before us. And he brought us out thence to give us this land, which he sware to give to our fathers. And Yahuah charged us to observe all these ordinances, to fear Yahuah our Elohim, that it may be well with us forever, that we may live, even today. And there shall be mercy to us, if we take heed to keep all the commands before Yahuah our Elohim, as he has commanded us. Deuteronomy Chapter 7. And when Yahuah thy Elohim shall bring you into the land into which thou goest to possess it, and shall remove great nations from before you, the Hittite, and the Girgashite, and the Amorite, and the Canaanite, and the Perizzite, and the Hivite, and the Jebusite, 7 nations more numerous and stronger than you, and Yahuah thy Elohim shall deliver them into thy hands, then thou shalt smite them. Thou shalt utterly destroy them. Thou shalt not make a covenant with them, neither shall ye pity them. Neither shall you contract marriages with them. Thou shalt not give thy daughter to his son, and thou shalt not take his daughter to thy son, for he will draw away thy son from me, and he will serve other Elohim. And Yahuah will be very angry with you, and will soon utterly destroy you. But thus shall ye do them. Ye shall destroy their altars, and break down their pillars, and shall cut down their groves, and shall burn with fire the graven images of their Elohim. For thou art holy people to Yahuah thy Elohim. And Yahuah thy Elohim chose you to be to him a peculiar people beyond all nations that are upon the face of the earth. It was not because you are more numerous than all the other nations that Yahuah preferred you, and Yahuah made choice of you, for you are fewer in number than all other nations, because Yahuah loved you, and is keeping the oath which he sware to your fathers. Yahuah brought you out with a strong hand, and Yahuah redeemed you from the house of bondage, out of the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Thou shalt know, therefore, that Yahuah thy Elohim, he is Elohim, a faithful Elohim, who keeps covenant and mercy for them that love him, for those that keep his commandments to 1,000 generations, and who recompenses them that hate him to their face, to destroy them utterly, and will not be slack with them that hate him. He will recompense them to their face. Thou shalt keep therefore the commands and the ordinances and these judgments which I command thee this day to do. And it shall come to pass, when ye shall have heard these ordinances, and shall have kept and done them, that Yahuah thy Elohim shall keep for thee the covenant and the mercy which he sware to your fathers. And he will love you, and bless you, and multiply you. And he will bless the offspring of your body, and the fruit of your land, your corn, and your wine, and your oil, the herds of your oxen, and the flocks of your sheep, and on the land which Yahuah sware to thy fathers to give you. Thou shalt be blessed beyond all nations. There shall not be among you an impotent or barren one, or among thy cattle. And Yahuah thy Elohim shall remove from you all the sickness, and none of the evil diseases of Egypt which thou hast seen, and all that thou hast known. He will lay upon you, but he will lay upon them all that hate you. And thou shalt eat all the spoils of the nations which Yahuah thy Elohim gives you. Thine eye shall not spare them, and thou shalt not serve their Elohim, for this is an offense to you. But if thou shouldst say in thine heart, This nation is greater than I, how shall I be able to utterly destroy them utterly? Thou shalt not fear them. Thou shalt surely remember all that Yahuah thy Elohim did to Pharaoh and to all the Egyptians, the great temptations which thine eyes have seen, those signs and great wonders, the strong hand and the high arm, how Yahuah thy Elohim brought thee forth. So Yahuah your Elohim will do to all the nations whom thou fearest in their presence. And Yahuah thy Elohim shall send against them the hornets, until they that are left and they that are hidden from thee be utterly destroyed. Thou shalt not be wounded before them, because Yahuah thy Elohim in the midst of thee is a great and powerful Elohim. And Yahuah thy Elohim shall consume these nations before thee by little and little. Thou shalt not be able to consume them speedily, lest the land become desert and the wild beasts of the field be multiplied against you. And Yahuah the Elohim shall deliver them into thy hands, and thou shalt destroy them with a great destruction, until you shall have utterly destroyed them. And he shall deliver their kings into your hands, and ye shall destroy their name from that place. None shall stand up in opposition before you, until you shalt have utterly destroyed them. Ye shall burn with fire the graven images of their Elohim. You shall not covet their silver, neither shalt thou take to thyself gold from them, lest thou shouldst offend thereby, because it is an abomination to Yahuah the Elohim. And thou shalt not bring an abomination into thine house, so shouldst thou be an accursed thing like it. And if thou shalt utterly hate it, and altogether abominate it, because it is an accursed thing. Deuteronomy Chapter 8. Ye shall observe to do all the commands which I charge you today, that ye may live and be multiplied, and enter in and inherit the land, which Yahuah your Elohim sware to give to your fathers. And ye shall remember all the way which Yahuah the Elohim led thee in the wilderness, that he might afflict you, and try you, and that the things in thine heart might be made manifest, whether you would keep his commandments or no. And he afflicted you, and strained you with hunger, and fed you with manna, which thy fathers knew not, that he might teach thee that man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Elohim shall man live. Thy garments grew not old from off thee. Thy shoes were not worn from off thee. Thy feet were not painfully hardened. Lo, these 40 years. And thou shalt know in thy heart that that as if any man should chasten his son, so Yahuah the Elohim will chasten you. And you shall keep the commands of Yahuah the Elohim, to walk in his ways and to fear him. For Yahuah the Elohim will bring you into a good and extensive land, where there are torrents of waters and fountains of deep places issuing through the plains and through the mountains, a land of wheat and barley, wherein are vines and figs and pomegranates, a land of olive oil and honey. A land on which thou shalt not eat thy bread with poverty, and thou shalt not want anything upon it. A land whose stones are iron, and out of its mountains thou shalt dig brass. And thou shalt eat and be filled, and bless Yahuah the Elohim on the good land which he has given you. And take heed to thyself, that thou forget not Yahuah the Elohim, so as to not keep his commands, and his judgments, and his ordinances, which I command you this day, lest when thou hast eaten and art full, and hast built goodly houses and dwelt in them, and thy oxen and thy sheep are multiplied to you, and thy silver and thy gold are multiplied to you, and all thy possessions are multiplied to you, thou shouldst be exalted in heart, and forget Yahuah thy Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage, who brought you through that great and terrible wilderness, where is the biting serpent and scorpion and drought, where there was no water, who brought thee to a fountain of water out of the flinty rock, who fed thee with manna in the wilderness, which thou knewest not, and thy fathers knew not, that he might afflict you, and thoroughly try you, and do you good in the latter days, lest thou shouldst say in thine heart, my strength and the power of my hand have wrought for me this great wealth. But thou shalt remember Yahuah the Elohim, that he gives you strength to get wealth, even that he may establish his covenant, which Yahuah sware to thy fathers, as at this day. And it shall come to pass, that thou do at all forget Yahuah the Elohim, and shouldst go after other Elohim, and serve them, and worship them, I call heaven and earth to witness against you this day, that you shall surely perish, as also the other nations which Yahuah Eloheinu destroys before your face. So shall you perish, because you hearken not to the voice of Yahuah your Elohim. And what a great chapter, because it's really a pattern of what we've gone through. Certainly it's not the exact desert wilderness experience that they've gone through, but think about it. They were saved out of Egypt by the blood of the Lamb, and they were tested and proved to see whether they keep his commandments. And if they did, they can enter the land. If they didn't, they couldn't. Same thing for us. We were saved from the house of bondage, sin, by the spotless Lamb, right, Messiah Yahusha, and we're kind of in the wilderness of the peoples, or a spiritual wilderness, if you will, to test us, to prove us, to see what's in our heart, to see if we keep his commandments or no. It's the parable of the wise and foolish virgins. The wise virgins that had their lamps trimmed, filled with oil, keeping the commandments, keeping the Torah, were able to go into the land. The people that did not will not be able to. Same thing. It's the same story written for us ahead of time. Deuteronomy 9, Hear, O Israel, thou goest this day across Jordan to inherit nations greater and stronger than yourselves, city great and walled up to heaven, a people great and many and tall, the sons of Anak, whom thou knowest, and concerning whom thou hast heard say, Who can stand before the children of Anak? And thou shalt know today that Yahuah thy Elohim, he shall go before thy face. He is a consuming fire, and he shall destroy them. He shall turn them back before you, and shall destroy them quickly, as Yahuah said to you. Speak not in your heart, when Yahuah thy Elohim has destroyed these nations before your face, saying, For my righteousness Yahuah has brought me in to inherit this good land. Not for thy righteousness, nor for the holiness of thy heart dost thou go in to inherit their land, but because of the wickedness of these nations, Yahuah will destroy them from before you, and that he may establish the covenant which Yahuah sware to our fathers, to Abraham, and to Yitzchak, and to Yaakov. And thou shalt know today that it is not for thy righteousness Yahuah thy Elohim gives you this good land to inherit. For thou art a stiff-necked people. Remember, forget not how much thou provoked Yahuah thy Elohim in the wilderness. From the day that ye came forth out of Egypt, even until ye came into this place, ye continued to be disobedient towards Yahuah. Also in Horeb ye provoked Yahuah, and Yahuah was angry with you to destroy you, when I went up into the mountain to receive the tables of stone, the tables of the covenant which Yahuah made with you. And I was in the mountain 40 days and 40 nights. I ate no bread and drank no water. And Yahuah gave me the 2 tables of stone written with the finger of Elohim, and on them there had been written all the words which Yahuah spoke to you in the mountain in the day of the assembly. And it came to pass, after 40 days and 40 nights, Yahuah gave me the 2 tables of stone, the tables of the covenant. And Yahuah said to me, Arise, go down quickly from hence. For thy people whom thou broughtest out of the land of Egypt have transgressed. They have gone aside quickly out of the way which I commanded them, and have made themselves a molten image. And Yahuah spoke to me, saying, I have spoken to thee once and again, saying, I have seen this people, and behold, it is a stiff-necked people. And now suffer me utterly to destroy them. And I will blot out their name from under heaven. And I will make of thee a nation great and strong, and more numerous than this. And I turned and I went down from the mountain, and the mountain burned with fire to heaven. And the 2 tables of stone, the testimonies, were in my 2 hands. And when I saw that ye had sinned against Yahuah your Elohim, and had made to yourselves a molten image, and had gone astray out of the way which Yahuah commanded you to keep, then I took hold of the 2 tables, and cast them out of my 2 hands, and broke them before you. And I made my petition before Yahuah, as also at the first 40 days and 40 nights. I ate no bread, and drank no water, on account of all your sins which ye sinned in doing evil before Yahuah Elohim to provoke him. And I was greatly terrified because of the wrath and anger, because Yahuah was provoked with you utterly to destroy you. Yet Yahuah hearkened to me at this time also, and he was angry with Aharon to destroy him utterly. And I prayed for Aharon also at that time, and your sin which ye had made, even the calf, I took and burnt it with fire, and pounded it and ground it down till it became fine, and became like dust, and I cast the dust into the brook that descended from the mountain. Also in the burning and in the temptation, and at the graves of lust, ye provoked Yahuah. And when Yahuah sent you forth from Kadesh Barnea, saying, Go up and inherit the land which I give to you, then ye disobeyed the word of Yahuah your Elohim, and believed him not, and hearkened not to his voice. You were disobedient in the things relating to Yahuah from the day in which he became known to you. And I prayed before Yahuah 40 days and 40 nights, the number that I prayed before. For Yahuah said that he would utterly destroy you. And I prayed to Elohim and said, O Yahuah, King of Elohim, destroy not the people in thine inheritance, whom thou didst redeem, whom thou broughtest out of the land of Egypt with thy great power, and with thy strong hand, and with thy high arm. Remember Abraham and Yitzchak and Yaakov thy servants, to whom thou swearest by thyself. Look not upon the hardness of the heart of this people, and their impieties and their sins, lest the inhabitants of the land whence thou broughtest us out speak, saying, Because Yahuah could not bring them into the land of which he spoke to them, and because he hated them, he has brought them forth to slay them in the wilderness. And these are thy people, and thy portion, whom thou broughtest out of the land of Egypt with thy great strength, and with thy mighty hand, and with thy high arm. Deuteronomy Chapter 10. At that time Yahuah said to me, Hew for thyself two stone tables as the first, and come up to me in the mountain. And thou shalt make for thyself an ark of wood. And thou shalt write upon the tables the words which were on the first tables, which thou didst break. And thou shalt put them into the ark. So I made an ark of boards of incorruptible wood, and I hewed tables of stone like the first. And I went up to the mountain, and the 2 tables were in my hand. And he wrote upon the tables according to the first writing the 10 commandments, which Yahuah spoke to you in the mountain out of the midst of the fire. And Yahuah gave them to me. And I turned and came down from the mountain, and I put the tables into the ark which I had made. And there they were, as Yahuah commanded me. And the children of Israel departed from Beroth of the sons of Yakim to Misadai. And there Aharon died, and there he was buried. And Eleazar his son was priest in his stead. Thence they were departed to Gadgad, and from Gadgad to Etebatha, a land wherein are torrents of water. And at that time, Yahuah separated the tribe of Levi to bear the ark of the covenant of Yahuah, to stand near before Yahuah, to minister and bless in his name to this day. Therefore the Levites have no part nor inheritance among their brethren. Yahuah himself is their inheritance, as he said to them. And I remained in the mount 40 days and 40 nights, and Yahuah heard me at that time also. And Yahuah would not destroy you. And Yahuah said to me, Go, set out before this people, and let them go in and inherit the land which I swear to their fathers to give to them. And now, Israel, what does Yahuah the Elohim require of you, but to fear Yahuah the Elohim, and to walk in all his ways, and to love him, and to serve Yahuah the Elohim with all thy heart and with all thy soul? Hallelujah. To keep the commandments of Yahuah the Elohim and his ordinances, all that I charge you this day, that it may be well with you. Behold, the heaven and the heavens of heavens belong to Yahuah the Elohim, the earth and all things that are in it. Only Yahuah chose your fathers to love them, and he chose out their seed after them, even you, beyond all nations, as at this day. Therefore ye shall circumcise the hardness of your heart, and ye shall not harden your neck. For Yahuah your Elohim, he is Elohim of Elohim, and Adonai of Adonim, the great and strong and terrible Elohim, who does not accept persons, nor will he by any means accept a bribe, executing judgment for the stranger and orphan and widow. And he loves the stranger to give him food and raiment. And ye shall love the stranger, for ye were strangers in the land of Egypt. Thou shalt fear Yahuah the Elohim and serve him, and shalt cleave to him, and shalt swear by his name. He is thy boast, and he is thy Elohim, who has wrought in the midst of thee these great and glorious things, which thine eyes have seen. With 70 souls your fathers went down into Egypt, but Yahuah the Elohim has made thee as the stars of heaven in multitude. Hallelujah. Just a second. Sorry. Deuteronomy Chapter 11. Therefore thou shalt love Yahuah the Elohim, and shalt observe his appointments, and his ordinances, and his commandments, and his judgments always. And ye shall know this day, for I speak not to your children, who know you not, and have not seen the discipline of Yahuah the Elohim, and his wonderful works, and his strong hand, and his high arm, and his miracles, and his wonders, which he wrought in the midst of Egypt on Pharaoh king of Egypt, and all his land. And what he did to the host of the Egyptians, and to their chariots, and their cavalry, and their host, how he made the water of the Red Sea to overwhelm the face of them as they pursued after you. And Yahuah destroyed them until this day, and all the things which he did to you in the wilderness until you came into this place, and all the things that he did to Dathan and Abiram, and the sons of Eliab, the sons of Reuben, whom the earth opening her mouth swallowed up, and their houses, and their tents, and all their substance that was with them in the midst of all Israel. For your eyes have seen all the mighty works of Yahuah, which he wrought among you today. And ye shall keep all his commandments, as many as I command you this day, that ye may live and be multiplied, and that ye may go in and inherit the land into which ye go across Jordan to inherit it, that ye may live long upon the land, which Yahuah sware to your fathers to give to them, and to their seed after them, a land flowing with milk and honey. For the land into which thou goest to inherit it is not as the land of Egypt, whence ye came out, whensoever they sow the seed, and water it with their feet, as a garden of herbs. But the land into which thou goest to inherit it is a land of mountains and plains. It shall drink the water of the rain of heaven, a land which Yahuah the Elohim surveys continually. The eyes of Yahuah the Elohim are upon it from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. Now, If you will indeed hearken to all the commands which I charge thee this day, to love Yahuah the Elohim, and to serve him with all thy heart and with all thy soul, then he shall give to thy land the early and latter rain in its season, and thou shalt bring in thy corn and thy wine and thy oil, and he shall give food in thy fields to thy cattle. And when thou hast eaten and art full, take heed to thyself, that thy heart be not puffed up, and ye transgress, and serve other Elohim, and worship them. And Yahuah be angry with you, and restrain the heaven, and there shall not be rain, and the earth shall not yield its fruit, and ye shall perish quickly from off the good land which Yahuah has given you. And ye shall store these words in your heart and in your soul, and ye shall bind them as a sign on your hand, and it shall be fixed before your eyes. There it is again, right? The opposite of the mark of the beast, which is either in the hand or the forehead. Here's Yahuah's commands in our hand and in our forehead. And ye shall teach them to your children, so as to speak about them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, when you sleep. Right? You should be thinking about his commandments when you sleep. I think a good way to do this, something I like to do, is I have the scriptures playing audio when I sleep. I don't know. Maybe that's a good way to fulfill this. I have no idea. And when you rise up, and ye shall write them on the lintels of your houses and on your gates, that your days may be long, and the days of your children upon the land which Yahuah sware to your fathers to give to them, as the days of heaven upon the earth. And it shall come to pass that if you will indeed hearken to all these commands which I charge thee to observe this day, to love Yahuah our Elohim, and to walk in all his ways, and to cleave close to him, then Yahuah shall cast out all these nations before you, and ye shall inherit great nations and stronger than yourselves. Every place whereon the sole of your foot shall tread shall be yours, from the wilderness of the Antilibanus, is like Lebanon, from the great river, the river Euphrates, it's up by where Iraq is now, even as far west as the West Sea shall be your coast. No one shall stand before you, and Yahuah your Elohim will put the fear of you and the dread of you on the face of all the land, on which ye shall tread, as he told you. Behold, I set before you this day the blessing and the curse. The blessing, if you hearken to the commands of Yahuah your Elohim, all that I command you this day, and the curse, if you do not hearken to the commands of Yahuah our Elohim, as many as I command you this day, and ye wander from the way which I have commanded you, and have gone to serve other Elohim which ye knew not. And it shall come to pass, when Yahuah the Elohim shall have brought thee into the land into which thou goest over to inherit it, then thou shalt put blessing on Mount Gerizim, and the curse of Mount Gebal. Lo, are not these beyond Jordan, behind westward in the land of Canaan, which lies westward near Golgol, by the high oak? For ye are passing over Jordan to go in and inherit the land which Yahuah our Elohim gives you to inherit always, and ye shall dwell in it. And ye shall take heed to do all his ordinances and these judgments, as many as I set before you this day. And this is another thing I just want to touch on really quickly. I'm not trying not to make this a teaching. Really, it's more of a reading. But there's a section of people in this whatever movement you want to call it that say that we only keep the Ten Commandments, and all the other stuff is just extra, and that was done away with. I really believe that we are to keep anything that we can possibly keep written in this book. Deuteronomy Chapter 12. And these are the ordinances and the judgments which ye shall observe to do in the land which Yahuah Elohim of your fathers gives you for an inheritance, all the days which ye shall live upon the land. And by the way, some of these laws are only able to be done when you're in the land, right? So we'll keep that for the Torah portions when we study this at length. Ye shall utterly destroy all the places in which they serve their Elohim. Obviously, we can't do that right now, right? Whose land ye inherited, on the land, on the high mountains, and on the hills, and under the thick tree. And ye shall destroy their altars, and break in pieces their pillars, and ye shall cut down their groves, and ye shall burn with fire the graven images of their Elohim, and ye shall abolish their name out of that place. Ye shall not do so to Yahuah your Elohim, but in the place which Yahuah the Elohim shall choose in one of your cities to name his name there, and be called upon you. Ye shall even seek him out and go thither. Ye shall carry thither your whole burnt offerings, and your sacrifices, and your firstfruits, and your vowed offerings, and your freewill offerings, and your offerings of thanksgiving, the firstborn of your herds and of your flocks. And ye shall eat there before Yahuah your Elohim, and ye shall rejoice in all the things on which ye shall lay your hand, ye and your houses, as Yahuah your Elohim has blessed you. Ye shall not do altogether as we do here today, every man that which is pleasing in his own sight. For hitherto ye have not arrived at the rest of the inheritance which Yahuah our Elohim gives you. And ye shall go over Jordan, and shall dwell in the land which Yahuah our Elohim takes as an inheritance for you. And he shall give you rest from all your enemies round about, and ye shall dwell safely. And there shall be a place which Yahuah the Elohim shall choose for his name to be called there. Thither shall you bring all the things that I order you today, your whole burnt offerings, and your sacrifices, and your tithes, and the first fruits of your hands, and every choice gift of yours, whatsoever ye shall vow to Yahuah your Elohim. And ye shall rejoice before Yahuah your Elohim, you and your sons, and your daughters, and your menservants, and your maidservants, and the Levite that is at your gates, because he has no portion or inheritance with you. Take heed to yourself, that you offer not thy whole burnt offerings in any place which thou shalt see, save in the place which Yahuah the Elohim shall choose. And one of thy tribes there shall you offer your whole burnt offerings, and there shalt thou do all things whatsoever I charge you this day. But thou shalt kill according to all thy desire, and thou shalt eat flesh according to the blessing of Yahuah the Elohim, which he has given you in every city. The unclean that is within thee and the clean shall eat it on equal terms. This is not talking about clean and unclean animals. This is talking about clean and unclean people shall be able to eat the meat. As the doe or the stag, only ye shall not eat the blood. Ye shall pour it out on the ground as water. Thou shalt not be able to eat in thy cities the tithe of the corn, and of thy wine, of thy oil, of the firstborn of thy herd, and of thy flock, and all your vows, as many as ye shall have vowed, and your thank offerings, and the first fruits of thine hands. But before Yahuah the Elohim thou shalt eat it, in the place in which Yahuah the Elohim shall choose for himself, you, and your son, and your daughter, and your manservant, and your maidservant, and the stranger that is within your gates. And thou shalt rejoice before Yahuah the Elohim, on whatsoever thou shalt lay thine hand. Take heed to thyself, that thou do not desert the Levite all the time that thou livest upon the earth. And if Yahuah the Elohim shall enlarge thy borders, as he said to you, and thou shalt say, I will eat flesh. If thy soul should desire to eat flesh, thou shalt eat flesh, according to all the desire of thy soul. And if the place be far from you, which Yahuah the Elohim shall choose for himself, that his name be called upon it, then thou shalt kill of thy herd and of thy flock, which Elohim shall have given you, even as I commanded you. And thou shalt eat in thy cities according to the desire of thy soul. As the doe and the stag are eaten, so shalt thou eat it. The unclean in you and the clean shall eat it in like manner. Take diligently heed that thou eat no blood, for blood is the life of it. The life shall not be eaten with the flesh. Ye shall not eat it. Ye shall pour it on the ground as water. Thou shalt not eat it, that it may be well with you and with your sons after you, if ye shall do that which is good and pleasing before Yahuah the Elohim. But thou shalt take thy holy things, if thou hast any, and thy vowed offerings, and come to the place which Yahuah thy Elohim shall choose to have his name named upon it. And probably most of you already know this, but this is eventually going to be Jerusalem. And thou shalt sacrifice thy whole burnt offerings. Thou shalt offer the flesh upon the altar of Yahuah the Elohim, but the blood of thy sacrifices thou shalt pour out at the foot of the altar of Yahuah the Elohim, but the flesh thou shalt eat. Beware and hearken, and thou shalt do all the commands which I charge you, that it may be well with you and thy sons forever, if thou shalt do that which is pleasing and good before Yahuah the Elohim. And if Yahuah the Elohim shall utterly destroy the nations to whom thou goest in thither to inherit their land from before you, and thou shalt inherit it, and dwell in their land, take heed to thyself that thou seek not to follow them after they are destroyed before you, saying, How do these nations act toward their gods? I will do likewise. Thou shalt not do so to thy Elohim, for they have sacrificed to their Elohim the abominations of Yahuah which he hates, for they burn their sons and their daughters in the fire to their Elohim. Chapter 13. Every word that I command you this day, it shalt thou observe to do. Thou shalt not add to it, nor diminish from it. And if there arise within thee a prophet, or one who dreams a dream, and he gives thee a sign or a wonder, and the sign or the wonder come to pass which he spoke to thee, saying, Let us go and serve other Elohim, which ye know not, you shall not hearken to the word of that prophet, or the dreamer of that dream, because Yahuah the Elohim tries you, and he's testing you, to know whether you love Yahuah with your Elohim with all your heart and with all your soul. And ye shall follow Yahuah your Elohim and fear him, and ye shall hear his voice and attach yourself to him. And that prophet or dreamer of dreams shall die, for he has spoken to make thee heir from Yahuah the Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, who redeemed you from bondage, to thrust you out of the way which Yahuah the Elohim commanded you to walk in. So shalt thou abolish the evil from among you. And if thy brother, or thy father, or mother, or son, or daughter, or thy wife, and thy bosom, or friend who is equal to thine own soul, entreat thee secretly, saying, Let us go and serve other Elohim, which neither thou or thy fathers have known, of the Elohim of the nations that are round about you, who are near you, or at a distance from you, from one end of the earth to the other. Thou shalt not consent to him, neither shalt thou hearken to him, and thine eye shall not spare him. Thou shalt feel no regret for him, neither shalt thou at all protect him. Thou shalt surely report concerning him, and thy hand shall be upon him among the first to slay him, and all the hands of all the people at the last. And thou shalt stone him with stones, and he shall die, because he sought to draw thee away from Yahuah the Elohim, who brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. And all Israel shall hear and fear, and shall not again do according to this evil among you. And if in one of the cities which Yahuah the Elohim gives you to dwell therein, thou shalt hear men saying, Evil men have gone out from you, and have caused all the inhabitants of their land to fall away, saying, Let us go and worship other Elohim, whom ye know not. Then thou shalt inquire and ask, and search diligently, and behold, if the thing is clearly true, and this abomination has taken place among you, thou shalt utterly destroy all the dwellers in that land with the edge of the sword. Ye shall solemnly curse it, and all things in it. And all its spoil thou shalt gather into its public ways, and thou shalt burn the city with fire, and all its spoils publicly before Yahuah the Elohim, and it shall be uninhabited forever. It shall not be built again. And there shall nothing of the cursed thing cleave to thy hand, that Yahuah may turn from his fierce anger, and show thee mercy, and pity you, and multiply you, as he sware to your fathers, if you will hear the voice of Yahuah the Elohim, to keep his commandments, all that I charge you this day, to do that which is good and pleasing before Yahuah the Elohim. And this is a big chapter. This is called the Deuteronomy 13 test. And it even says at the beginning, if there's a prophet, when the sign comes to pass. So he's like a literal prophet. But he's like, let's go serve other Elohim. Well, what does it actually mean? We know to serve Elohim is to keep his commandments. So if we're keeping commandments contrary to Yahuah's commandments, so like if someone tells us that, that we don't need to keep the commands, or the commands are done away with, that's quite frankly serving other Elohim, because it's not serving our Elohim in the way he instructed us to. So even if there's a prophet that a mighty sign or wonder comes to pass, and he's like, we don't need to live by the commandments anymore. All we have to do is just believe, and then that's it. That's a test. That's quite frankly a test, because this is exactly what it says. He's like, even if a dreamer of dreams and the dream comes to pass, or the prophecy comes to pass, and he's shown that he is a legitimate prophet, but he's like, we don't need to keep, Yah's commandments anymore. Well, you're now serving another Elohim, and this is the Deuteronomy 13 test, and this is forever. This has never been done away with. Deuteronomy 14. You are the children of Yahuah your Elohim. You shall not make any baldness between your eyes for the dead, for you are a holy people to Yahuah the Elohim. And Yahuah the Elohim has chosen you to be a peculiar people to himself of all the nations on the face of the earth. You shall not eat any abominable thing. And he's going to tell us what's going to be abominable. These are the beasts which you shall eat: the calf of the herd, and the lamb of the sheep, and the kid of the goats, the stag and the doe, and the pygarg and the wild goat, and the camelopard. What is that? A giraffe? Okay, I've never heard that one before. So this is new. This is different in the Septuagint. So I guess the giraffe is clean. I don't know. I'll have to look more into that one. Every beast that divides the hoof and makes claws. So if you've got wild giraffe around you, we'll talk about that another time. Every beast that divides the hoofs and makes claws of two divisions, that chews the cud among the beasts, these ye shall eat. And these ye shall not eat of them that chew the cud, and of those that divide the hoofs and make distinct claws. So this is telling you what's abominable. Like, he's like, don't do it. There's only a few things that Yahuah calls an abomination: sacrificing to other gods, homosexuality, and eating eating food that's unlawful. There's very few things that are abominable. So just keep that in mind. And these Ye shall not eat of them that chew the cud, those that divide the hoof, the camel and the hare, and the which I don't know the difference between a hare and a rabbit, because they chew the cud and do not divide the hoof. These are unclean to you. And as for the swine, pork, pig, because he divides the hoof and makes the claws the hoof, yet he chews not the cud, he is unclean to you. Ye shall not eat of their flesh, and ye shall not touch their dead bodies. This is an abomination to you. There's a pretty stark warning in Isaiah chapter 66 for when he comes back for people eating pork. So I wouldn't gamble with that. And these ye shall eat of all that are in the waters. Ye shall eat all that have fins and scales, not fins or scales, fins and scales. And all that have not fins and scales ye shall not eat. So like catfish, that's a no-go. Shark, swordfish. Pretty much all shellfish, lobster, shrimp, crab, oysters, all that stuff. If it doesn't have fins and scales, it's a no-go. It's an abomination. And these of them ye shall not eat: the eagle and the ossifrage and the sea eagle and the vulture and the kite and the like to it and the sparrow and the owl and the sea mew and the heron and the swan and the stork and the cormorant and the hawk and its like and the hoopoe and the raven and the pelican and the diver and the like to it, or heron, okay, and the diver like to it, and the red bill and the bat. All winged animals that creep are unclean to you. Ye shall not eat of them. Ye shall eat every clean bird. Ye shall eat nothing that dies of itself. It shall be given to the sojourner in the cities, and he shall eat it. Or thou shalt sell it to a stranger, because thou art a holy people to Yahuah the Elohim. Thou shalt not boil a lamb in his mother's milk. And I believe that's exactly what it says. Some people, like modern day Judaism, says you can't eat a cheeseburger because it's got like meat and cheese together. That's not what it's saying. It's literally saying, like, don't boil a lamb in its own mother's milk. It's kind of terrible. Thou shalt tithe 1/10 of all the produce of thy seed, the fruit of the field year by year, and thou shalt eat in it. Thou shalt eat in the place. And thou shalt eat it in the place which Yahuah the Elohim shall choose to have his name called there. Ye shall bring the tithe of thy corn, and of thy wine, and of thy oil, and the firstborn of thy herd, and of thy flock, that thou mayest learn to fear Yahuah thy Elohim always. And if the journey be too far for you, and you are not able to bring them, because the place is far from you, which Yahuah thy Elohim shall choose to have his name called there, because Yahuah thy Elohim will bless you, then thou shalt sell them for money. And thou shalt take the money in thy hands, and thou shalt go to the place which Yahuah the Elohim shall choose, and ye shall give them money for whatsoever thy soul shall desire, for oxen, or for sheep, or for wine. Thou shalt lay it out on strong drink, or whatsoever thy soul may desire. In the Masoretic it says lust, right? Soul may lust. And thou shalt eat there before Yahuah the Elohim, and thou shalt rejoice in thy house. And this is part of Sukkot right now. We're commanded to rejoice, right? And the Levite that is in thy cities, because he has not portion or inheritance with you. After 3 years thou shalt bring all the tithes of thy fruits. In that year thou shalt lay it up in thy cities. And the Levite shall come, because he has no part or lot with you, and the stranger, and the orphan, and the widow, which is in thy cities, and they shall eat and be filled, that Yahuah the Elohim may bless you in all the works which thou shalt do. Let's see. Well, we're going to take a break. We'll take a break after we'll finish. We'll go through 18, and after 18, we'll take a break, and we'll come back and finish the second. I don't actually, was it 34 books? Okay. Anyway, either way, we're gonna stop. We'll finish. We'll go up to 18, and then we'll come back. Which would be 17, but it's fine. 18 is fine. Every 7 years thou shalt, chapter 15, every 7 years thou shalt make a release, and this is the ordinance of the release. Thou shalt remit every private debt which thy neighbor owes you, and thou shalt not ask payment of it from thy brother, for it has been called a release to Yahuah the Elohim. Of a stranger thou shalt ask again whatsoever he has of thine, but to thy brother thou shalt remit his debt to you. For thus there shall not be a poor person in the midst of thee. For Yahuah the Elohim will surely bless you in the land which Yahuah the Elohim gives you by inheritance, that thou shouldest inherit it. And if ye shall indeed hearken to the voice of Yahuah Elohim, to keep and do all these commandments, as many as I charge you this day, for Yahuah the Elohim has blessed you in the way which he spoke to you, which, by the way, this is exactly what Yahusha was talking about when he said, my sheep hear my voice. It's not just like, I follow him however I want to follow him. We hear, this is what, I'll read this again. This is how we hear his voice. And if you shall indeed hearken to the voice of Yahuah Elohim, what? To keep and do all the commandments, as many as I charge you this day. For Yahuah Elohim has blessed you in the way of which he spoke to you. Then thou shalt lend to many nations, but thou shalt not borrow. And thou shalt rule over many nations, but they shall not rule over you. And if there shall be in the midst of you a poor man of thy brethren in one of thy cities in the land which Yahuah Elohim gives you, thou shalt not harden thy heart, neither shalt thou by any means close up thine hand from thy brother who is in want. Thou shalt surely open thine hands to him, and thou shalt lend to him as much as he wants according to his need. Take heed to thyself, that there be not a secret thing in thine heart, and iniquity, saying, the 7th year, the year of release, draws nigh, and thine eye shall be evil to thy brother that is in want, and thou shalt not give to him, and he shall cry against you to Yahuah, and there shall be great sin to you. Thou shalt surely give to him, and thou shalt lend him as much as he wants, according as he is in need, and thou shalt not grudge in thine heart as thou givest to him, because on this account Yahuah Elohim will bless you in all thy works, and all the things which thou shalt lay in thine hand. And this is also a great thing to think about. This during Sukkot. This is kind of the, if you know anybody, in this walk that is in need or poor, this is a great time to give, because if you're thinking like, how do I tithe? I think a great way, because we don't have a working priesthood, I think a great way is to find the widow or the orphan or someone poor and give. This is a great time to do so. For the poor shall not fail off thy land. Therefore I charge thee to do this thing, saying, thou shalt surely open thine hands to thy poor brother, and to him that is distressed upon thy land. And if thy brother or sister, a Hebrew man or a Hebrew woman, be sold to you, he shall serve you 6 years, and in the 7th year thou shalt send him out from you. And when thou shalt send him out free from you, thou shalt not send him out empty. Thou shalt give him provision for the way from the flock, and from the corn, and from thy wine, as Yahuah Elohim has blessed you, thou shalt give him. And thou shalt remember that you were a servant in the land of Egypt, and Yahuah Elohim redeemed you from thence. Therefore I charge you to do this thing. And if he should say to you, I will not go out from you, because he continues to love you and your house, because he is well with you, then thou shalt take an awl and bore his ear through the door, and he shall be thy servant forever. And in like manner you shall do to thy maidservant. It shall not seem hard to you when they are sent out free from you, because thy servant has served thee 6 years, according to the annual hire of a hireling. So Yahuah Elohim shall bless you in all things whatsoever you mayest do. Every firstborn that shall be born among you, thy kine and thy sheep, thou shalt sanctify the males to Yahuah Elohim. Thou shalt not work with thy firstborn calf, and thou shalt not shear the firstborn of thy sheep. Thou shalt eat it before Yahuah year by year in the place which Yahuah Elohim shall choose, you and your house. And if there be in it a blemish, if it be lame or blind, an evil blemish, thou shalt not sacrifice it to Yahuah Elohim. Thou shalt eat it in thy cities, the unclean in you and the clean shall eat it in like manner, as the doe or the stag, only ye shall not eat the blood. Thou shalt pour it out on the earth as water. Chapter 16. Observe the month of new corn. Thou shalt this is like spring. Thou shalt sacrifice the Passover to Yahuah Elohim, because in the month of new corn thou camest out of Egypt by night. And thou shalt sacrifice the Passover to Yahuah Elohim, sheep and oxen, in the place which Yahuah Elohim shall choose to have his name called upon it. Thou shalt not eat leaven with it. 7 days shalt thou eat unleavened bread with it, the bread of affliction, because ye came forth out of Egypt in haste, that ye may remember the day of your coming forth out of the land of Egypt all the days of your life. Leaven shall not be seen with you in all thy borders for 7 days, and there shall not be left of the flesh which thou shalt sacrifice at even on the first day until the morning. Thou shalt not have power to sacrifice the Passover in any of the cities which Yahuah thy Elohim gives you, but in the place which Yahuah thy Elohim shall choose to have his name called there, thou shalt sacrifice the Passover at evening, at the setting of the sun, at the time when thou camest out of Egypt. And thou shalt boil and roast and eat it in the place which Yahuah thy Elohim shall choose. And thou shalt return in the morning and go to thy house. 6 days thou shalt eat unleavened bread, and on the 7th day is a holiday, or feast day, or appointed day. A feast to Yahuah thy Elohim. Thou shalt not do in any work save that which must be done by anyone. And actually, a quick note to self. Give me just a second. Sorry about that. I've studied the Septuagint a bit, but some of this stuff I haven't read. So when I see something new, I just didn't want to run by it. 7 weeks shalt thou number to thyself. This is the numbering for Pentecost. 7 weeks shalt thou number to thyself. When thou hast begun to put the sickle to the corn, thou shalt begin to number 7 weeks. And thou shalt keep the feast of weeks to Yahuah the Elohim, accordingly as thy hand has power in many things, as Yahuah the Elohim shall give you. And thou shalt rejoice before Yahuah the Elohim, you and your son, and your daughter, and your manservant, and your maidservant, and the Levite, and the stranger, and the orphan, and the widow which dwells among you, in whatsoever place Yahuah the Elohim shall choose, that his name should be called there. And thou shalt remember that thou wast a servant in the land of Egypt, and thou shalt observe and do these commands. Thou shalt keep for thyself the feast of tabernacles 7 days. This is where we're at right now. This is Sukkot. When thou gatherest in thy produce from thy corn floor and thy winepress. And thou shalt rejoice in thy feast, you, and your son, and your daughter, and your manservant, and your maidservant, and the Levite, and the stranger, and the orphan, and the widow that is in thy cities. 7 days shalt thou keep a feast to Yahuah thy Elohim in the place which Yahuah the Elohim shall choose for himself. And if Yahuah the Elohim shall bless thee in all thy fruits, and in every work of thy hands, then thou shalt rejoice. Right? It's a command. It's a command to rejoice. 3 times in the year shall all thy males appear before Yahuah thy Elohim in the place which Yahuah shall choose, in the feast of unleavened bread, and in the feast of weeks, and in the feast of tabernacles. Thou shalt not appear before Yahuah thy Elohim empty, each one according to his ability, according to the blessing of Yahuah the Elohim which he has given you. Thou shalt make for thyself judges and officers in thy cities, which Yahuah the Elohim gives you in thy tribes. And they shall judge the people with righteous judgment. They shall not wrest judgment, nor favor persons, nor receive a gift, for the gifts blind the eyes of the wise and pervert the words of the righteous. Thou shalt justly, and this isn't saying you can't give anybody a gift. This is saying when it comes to judging someone, this is saying judge in my favor, and I'll give you some money, or I'll give you a gift. That's the kind of gift that's talking about. It's not saying you can't give someone a gift and be nice to them. But when it comes to judgment, so some people mistake this. Okay, let me read that again. They shall not wrest judgment, nor favor persons, nor receive gift, for the gift blinds the eyes of the wise and pervert the words of the righteous. Thou shalt justly pursue justice, that ye may live and go in and inherit the land which Yahuah the Elohim gives you. Thou shalt not plant for thyself a grove. Thou shalt not plant for thyself any tree near the altar of Elohim. Thou shalt not set up for thyself a pillar which Yahuah the Elohim hates. Chapter 17. Deuteronomy chapter 17, Septuagint version. Thou shalt not sacrifice to Yahuah the Elohim a calf or a sheep in which there is a blemish or any evil thing, for it is an abomination to Yahuah the Elohim. So here's one of your abominations. And there should be found in any one of thy cities which Yahuah the Elohim gives you a man or a woman who shall do that which is evil before Yahuah the Elohim, so as to transgress his covenant. And they should go and serve other Elohim and worship them, the sun or the moon or any of the host of heaven, which he commanded you not to do. And it be told you, and thou shalt have inquired diligently, and behold, the thing really took place. This abomination has been done in Israel. Then thou shalt bring out the man or that woman, and ye shall stone them with stones, and they shall die. He shall die on the testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses. A man who is put to death shall not be put to death for 1 witness. The hand of the witnesses shall be upon him among the first to put him to death, and the hand of the people at the last. So shalt thou remove the evil one from among yourselves. And if a matter shall be too hard for thee in judgment, between blood and blood, between cause and cause, and between stroke and stroke, and between contradiction and contradiction, matters of judgment in your cities, then thou shalt arise and go up to the place which Yahuah the Elohim shall choose, and thou shalt come to the priests, the Levites, and to the judge, who shall be in those days, and they shall search out the matter and report the judgment to you. And thou shalt act according to the thing which they shall report to you out of the place which Yahuah the Elohim shall choose. And thou shalt observe to do all whatsoever shall have been by the Torah appointed to you. Thou shalt do according to the Torah, and to the judgment which they shall declare to you. Thou shalt not swerve to the right hand or to the left from any sentence which they shall report to you. And the man whosoever shall act in haughtiness, so as to not hearken to the priest who stands to minister in the name of Yahuah the Elohim, or the judge who shall preside in those days, that man shall die, and thou shalt remove the evil one out of Israel. And all the people shall hear and fear, and shall no more commit impiety. When thou shalt enter into the land which Yahuah the Elohim gives you, and shall inherit it, and dwell in it, and shall say, I will set a ruler over me, as also the other nations round about me. Thou shalt surely set a ruler over you, whom Yahuah the Elohim shall choose. Of thy brethren thou shalt set a ruler over you. Thou shalt not have power to set over thee a stranger, because he is not thy brother. For he shall not multiply to himself horses, and he shall by no means turn the people back to Egypt, lest he should multiply horses for himself, or multiply to himself horses. For Yahuah said, Ye shall not any more turn back by that way. And he shall not multiply to himself wives, lest his heart turn away, and he shall not greatly multiply to himself silver and gold. And when he shall have established in his government, then shall he write for himself this repetition of the Torah into a book by the hand of the priests, the Levites, and it shall be with him, and he shall read it in all the days of his life, that he may learn to fear Yahuah the Elohim, and to keep all these commandments, and to observe these ordinances, that his heart be not lifted up above his brethren, that he depart not from the commandments on the right hand or on the left, and that he and his sons may reign long in his dominion among the children of Israel. All right, one more chapter and we'll take a quick break. Just a 4 minute break. Chapter 18. The priests, the Levites, even the whole tribe of Levi, shall have no part nor inheritance with Israel. The burnt offerings of Yahuah are their inheritance. They shall eat them. They shall have no inheritance among their brethren. Yahuah himself is his portion. Yahuah himself is his portion, as he said to him. And this is the due of the priests in the things coming from the people, from those who offer sacrifices, whether it be of calf or sheep. And thou shalt give the shoulder to the priest, and the cheeks, and the great intestine, and the first fruits of thy corn, and of thy wine, and of thy oil. And thou shalt give to him the first fruits of the fleeces of thy sheep, because Yahuah has chosen him out of all thy tribes to stand before Yahuah the Elohim, to minister and bless in his name, himself and his sons among the children of Israel. And if a Levite come from one of the cities of all the children of Israel, where he himself dwells, accordingly as his mind desires, to the place which he shall have chosen, he shall minister to the name of Yahuah his Elohim, as all his brethren the Levites, who stand there present before Yahuah the Elohim. He shall eat an allotted portion, beside the sale of his hereditary property. And when thou shalt have entered into the land which Yahuah thy Elohim gives you, thou shalt not learn to do according to the abominations of those nations. There shall not be found in thee one who purges his son or his daughter with fire, or one who uses divination, who deals with omens and augury, a sorcerer employing incantation, one who has in him a divining spirit, an observer of signs, questioning the dead. For everyone that does these things is an abomination to Yahuah the Elohim. Remember I said there's only a few things that are abomination. Now we're seeing all those things. For because of these abominations, Yahuah will destroy them from before thy face. Thou shalt be perfect before Yahuah thy Elohim. All right, we're going to read chapter 30 a little bit later that says that we can do the Torah. For all these nations whose land thou shalt inherit, they will listen to omens and divinations, but Yahuah the Elohim has not permitted you to do so. Yahuah the Elohim shall raise up to you a prophet of thy brethren, like me. Him ye shall hear, according to all things which thou desire of Yahuah in Elohim. A desire of Yahuah thy Elohim in Horeb in the day of the assembly, saying, We will not again hear the voice of Yahuah thy Elohim, and we will not see any more of this great fire, and so we shall not die. And Yahuah said to me, They have spoken rightly all that they have said to you. I will raise up to them a prophet of their brethren like you, and I will put my words in his mouth, and he shall hearken, and he shall speak to them as all I shall command him. And whatever man shall not hearken to him in whatsoever words that prophet shall speak in my name, I will take vengeance on him. Right? The other version says, I will require it of him. This one says, I will take vengeance on him. But the prophet, whosoever shall impiously speak in my name, a word which I have not commanded him to speak, and whosoever shall speak in the name of other Elohim, that prophet shall die. But thou shalt say in thy heart, How shall we know the word which Yahuah has not spoken? Whatsoever words that prophet shall speak in the name of Yahuah, and they shall not come true and not come to pass. This is the thing which Yahuah has not spoken. That prophet has spoken wickedly. Ye shall not spare him. Okay, brothers and sisters, we are going to take a quick few-minute break. I'm going to use the restroom real quick. I'll be right back, and we'll finish the second portion of this reading. All right, welcome back, brothers and sisters. I actually took a quick look at the chat, and Sister Gina Knowles asked a very good question. She asked, I've always wondered about Joseph and his divination cup that he claimed his brother stole. And that's a really good question. That's one of the reasons why I really enjoy the book of Jasher, because it's really the only book that explains that. I mean, you can kind of piece it together in the book of Genesis, but it doesn't really explain. In Jasher, it explains that how he set his brothers in order of birth, and he explained to them in Jasher that the only reason he knew their order of birth was because of his cup of divination. But so he was basically doing that to continue to hide his identity, that he was their brother. So Joseph actually did not ever divine. He was just claiming that cup was for divination, so that his brothers wouldn't be like, well, how do you know our order of birth, right? Like, if he wasn't their brother, like, what other way would he know it? And so he's like, yeah, this cup is how I know your order of birth. So we don't get that in Genesis, but we get that in Jasher. And so it shows us that he actually didn't divine, because in Genesis it kind of leaves it up like, that's kind of weird. And she brought that up because as we saw, one of the commands here was not to use divination. So you're like, well, okay, well, Joseph divined. He actually didn't. So great question. Hopefully that answers your question. If you want, I can't remember what chapter it is, but it's in Jasher. It explains that scenario fully. Okay, we're going to finish up Deuteronomy, and we will be finished with our Torah this week, the whole Torah in 5 days. All right, Deuteronomy Chapter 19, Septuagint version. And when Yahuah the Elohim shall have destroyed the nations which Elohim gives you, even the land, and ye shall inherit them, and dwell in their cities, and in their houses, you shall separate for yourself 3 cities in the midst of thy land, which Yahuah the Elohim gives you. Take a survey of thy way, and thou shalt divide the coasts of thy land, which Yahuah the Elohim apportions to you, into 3 parts, and there shall be a refuge for every manslayer. And this shall be the ordinance of the manslayer, who shall flee thither, and shall live, whosoever shall have smitten his neighbor ignorantly, whereas he hated him not in times past, and whosoever shall enter with his neighbor into the thicket to gather wood, if the hand of him that cuts the wood with the axe should be violently shaken, and the axe head falling off from the handle should light on his neighbor, and he should die, he should flee to one of these cities and live, lest the avenger of blood pursue after the slayer, because his heart is hot, and overtake him if the way be too long, and slay him. Though there is to this man no sentence of death, because he hated him not in times past. Therefore I charge you, saying, you shall separate for yourself 3 cities. And if Yahuah shall enlarge your borders, as he swore to your fathers, and Yahuah shall give to you all the land which he said he would give to thy fathers, if thou shalt hearken to do all these commands, which I charge thee this day, to love Yahuah the Elohim, to walk in all his ways continually, thou shalt add for thyself yet 3 cities to these 3. So innocent blood shall not be spilt in the land which Yahuah the Elohim gives you to inherit, and there shall not be in thee one guilty of blood. But if there should be in thee a man hating his neighbor, and he should lay wait for him, and rise up against him, and smite him that he die, and he should flee to one of these cities, then shall the elders of his city send and take him thence, and they shall deliver him into the hands of the avengers of blood, and he shall die. Thine eye shall not spare him, so shalt thou purge innocent blood from Israel, and it shall be well with you. Thou shalt not move the landmarks of thy neighbor, which thy fathers set in the inheritance, which thou hast obtained a share in the land, which Yahuah the Elohim gives you to inherit. One witness shall not stand to testify against a man for any iniquity, or for any fault, or for any sin which he may commit. By the mouth of 2 witnesses, or by the mouth of 3 witnesses, shall every word be established. And if an unjust witness rise up against a man, alleging iniquity against him, then shall the 2 men between whom the controversy is stand before Yahuah, and before the priests, and before the judges, who may be in those days, and the judges shall make diligent inquiry. And behold, if an unjust witness has borne unjust testimony, and has stood up against his brother, then shall you do to him as he wickedly devised to do against his brother, and thou shalt remove the evil from yourselves, and the rest shall hear and fear, and do no more according to this evil in the midst of you. Thine eye shall not spare him. Thou shalt exact life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, and foot for foot. Chapter 20. And if thou shouldst go forth to war against thine enemies, and should see a horse and a rider, and a people more numerous than thyself, thou shalt not be afraid of them, for Yahuah is thy Elohim. For Yahuah thy Elohim is with you, who brought you up out of the land of Egypt. And it shall come to pass, whenever thou shalt draw nigh to battle, that the priests shall draw nigh and speak to the people, and shall say to them, Hear, O Israel, ye are going this day to battle against your enemies. Let not your heart faint, fear not. Neither be confounded, neither turn aside from their face. For it is Yahuah your Elohim who advances with you to fight with you against your enemies and save you. And the scribes shall speak to the people, saying, What man is he that has built a new house and has not dedicated it? Let him go and return to his house, lest he die in war and another man dedicate it. And what man is he that has planted a vineyard and has not been made merry with it? Let him go and return to his house, lest he die in the battle. And another man be made merry with it. And what man is he that has betrothed a wife and has not taken her? Let him go and return to his house, lest he die in the battle, and another man take her. And the scribe shall speak further to the people and say, What man is he that fears and is cowardly in his heart? Let him go and return to his house, lest he make the heart of his brother fail as his own. And it shall come to pass, when the scribes shall have ceased speaking to the people, that they should appoint generals of the army to be leaders of the people. And if thou shalt draw nigh to a city to overcome them by war, then call them out peaceably. If they should answer peaceably to you, and open to you, and it shall be all the people found in it should be tributary and subject to you. Right. So this is what we're talking about earlier. If you're with us earlier, there was a specific commandment for the Canaanite people to go in and just kill them all, kill everything that breathes. This is different. This is a different type of warfare other than the Canaanites. You can even make them the males tributary here, right? Or, I'm sorry, no. It actually says here that every male should be killed, but anyway, I'll just let the word speak for itself. Sorry, but if they, that all the people found in it should be tributary, so that actually does include the males. But if they will not hearken to you, but wage war against you, thou shalt invest it. I guess make siege. Until Yahuah the Elohim shall deliver it into your hands, and thou shalt smite every male of it with the edge of the sword. So this is if they don't comply, then you kill every male. But if they do comply, you even make the males tributary, like make them like drawers of the water, hewers of the wood or whatever, except the women and the stuff. and all the cattle, and whatsoever shall be in the city, and all the plunder thou shalt take as a spoil for thyself, and shalt eat all the plunder of thine enemies, whom Yahuah the Elohim gives you. Thus shalt thou do to all the cities that are very far from off you, not being of the cities of these nations which Yahuah the Elohim gives you to inherit their land. Of these ye shall not take anything alive, but ye shall surely curse them, the Hittite, and the Amorite, and the Canaanite, and the Perizzite, and the Hivite, and the Jebusite, and the Girgashite, as Yahuah the Elohim commanded you, that they may not teach you to do all their abominations which they did to their Elohim, and so you should sin before Yahuah your Elohim. And if thou shouldst besiege a city many days to prevail against it by war and take it, thou shalt not destroy its trees by applying an iron tool to them, but thou shalt eat of it, and thou shalt not cut it down. Is the tree that is in the field a man to enter before thee into the work of the siege? But if the tree which thou knowest to be a not fruit-bearing, this thou shalt destroy and cut down, and thou shalt construct a mound against the city which makes war against you, and be delivered up. Sorry, I don't know why I have such a hard time with this little paragraph. So yeah, they'd only cut down trees that didn't bear fruit for siege engines. Chapter 21. And if one be slain with the sword in the land which Yahuah the Elohim gives you to inherit, having fallen in the field, and they do not know who has smitten him, thine elders and thy judges shall come forth, and shall measure the distance of the cities round about the slain man. And it shall be that the city which is nearest to the slain man, the elders of the city that shall take a heifer of the herd, which has not labored, and which has not borne a yoke, and the elders of that city shall bring down the heifer into a rough valley, which has not been tilled and is not sown. They shall slay the heifer in the valley. And the priests, the Levites, shall come, because Yahuah Elohim has chosen them to stand by him, and to bless in his name. And by their word shall every controversy and every stroke be decided. And all the elders of that city who draw nigh to the slain man shall wash their hands over the head of the heifer which was slain in the valley. And they shall answer and say, Our hands have not shed this blood, and our eyes have not seen it. Be merciful to thy people, Israel, whom thou hast redeemed, O Yahuah, that innocent blood may be not charged on thy people, Israel. And the blood shall be atoned for them, and thou shalt take away innocent blood from among you, if thou shouldst do that which is good and pleasing before Yahuah the Elohim. And if when thou goest out to war against thine enemies, Yahuah the Elohim should deliver them into thine hands, and thou shouldst take their spoil, and shouldst see among the spoil a woman beautiful in countenance, and shouldst desire her, and take her to thyself for a wife, and shouldst bring her within thine house, then thou shalt shave her head, and pare her nails, and shalt take away her garments of captivity from off her, and she shall abide in thine house, and shall bewail her father and her mother the days of a month, and afterwards thou shalt go into her and dwell with her, and she shall be thy wife. We spent a lot of time actually breaking this down maybe a month or two ago when we went through that Torah portion. And it shall be, if thou do not delight in her, thou shalt send her out free, and she shall not by any means be sold for money, and thou shalt not treat her contemptuously, because thou hast humbled her. And if a man have two wives, the one loved and the other hated, and both the loved and the hated should have borne him children, and the son of the hated should be the firstborn, then it should be that whensoever he divide by the inheritance his goods to his sons, he shall not be able to give the right of the firstborn to the son of the loved one, having overlooked the son of the hated, which is the firstborn. But he shall acknowledge the firstborn of the hated one to give him double of all things which shall be found by him, because he is the first of his children, and to him belongs the birthright. And if any man has a disobedient and contentious son, who hearkens not to the voice of his father and the voice of his mother, and they should correct him, and he should not hearken to them, then shall his father and his mother take hold of him, and bring him forth to the elders of his city, and to the gate of the place. And they shall say to the men of their city, This our son is disobedient and contentious. He hearkens not to our voice. He is a reveler and a drunkard. And the men of his city shall stone him with stones, and he shall die. And thou shalt remove the evil one from yourselves, and the rest shall hear and fear. And this is just really quickly, because a lot of people poke fun at this verse as well. They're like, you're going to stone your kid, you're keeping Torah, you're going to stone your kids. A couple things. First of all, this can only be done in the land, when under the rule of Torah, we're in dispersion. But think about this. Think about a Torah community, and think about the good of the whole community. If this were to happen, first of all, this is an older man. This is an older son. This is a drunkard and a partier and a drinker and a lazy son. This is probably a grown son, maybe a 20-year-old son. This isn't like a 5-year-old kid. That's like that has issues. Anyways, the point being is, if the entire community saw that child being stoned, how many of those children would see that and be like, you know what? I don't want that to happen to me. I'm going to listen to my parents. How many more lives would that actually save? How much more evil would have been removed from the entire community for that? I could tell you, if we lived in that kind of community now, I bet a lot of you and I, a lot of us, would not have done the things we've done if we grew up in that kind of community. Think about that. If there be sin in anyone, and the judgment of death be upon him, and he be put to death, and ye hang him on a tree, his body shall not remain all night upon the tree, but ye shall have by all means bury it in that day. For everyone that is hanged on a tree is cursed of Elohim. And ye shall by no means defile the land which Yahuah the Elohim gives thee for an inheritance. Chapter 22. When thou seest the calf of thy brother or his sheep wandering in the way, thou shalt not overlook them. Thou shalt by all means turn them back to thy brother, and thou shalt restore them to him. And if thy brother do not come nigh to you, and does not know him, thou shalt bring it into thy house within. And it shall be with thee until thy brother shall seek them, and thou shalt restore them to him. Thus shalt thou do to his ass, and thou shalt do to his raiment, and thus thou shalt do to everything that thy brother has lost. Whatsoever shall have been lost by him, thou shalt have found, thou shalt not have power to overlook. Thou shalt not see the ass of thy brother or his calf fallen in the way, and thou shalt not overlook them. Thou shalt surely help him to raise them up. The apparel of a man shall not be on a woman, neither shall a man put on a woman's dress, for every one that does these things is an abomination to Yahuah the Elohim. And if thou shouldst come upon a brood of birds before thy face in the way, or upon any tree, or upon the earth, young or eggs, and the mother be brooding on the young ones or the eggs, thou shalt not take the dam with the young ones. Thou shalt by all means let the mother go, but thou shalt take the young ones thyself, that it may be well with you, that thou mayest live long. If thou shouldst build a new house, then thou shalt make a parapet to thy house, so thou shalt not bring blood guiltiness upon thy house, if one should anywise fall from it. Thou shalt not sow thy vineyard with diverse seed, lest the fruit be devoted. And whatsoever seed thou mayest sow with the fruit of thy vineyard, thou shalt not plow with an ox and an ass together. Thou shalt not wear a mingled garment, woolen and linen together. Thou shalt make fringes on the four borders of thy garments, with whichsoever thou mayest be clothed. That's your tzitzit, your fringes. Yahusha wore them. When the woman with the issue of the blood reached out, she said, if I have just but take hold of the hem of his garment, I shall be made whole. She actually grabbed his tzitzit. And so if he wore them, we should wear them. And if anyone should take a wife and dwell with her and hate her and attach to her reproachful words and bring against her an evil name and say, I took this woman, and when I came to her, I found not her tokens of virginity. Then the father and the mother of the damsel shall take and bring out the damsel's token of virginity to the elders of the city to the gate. And the father of the damsel shall say to the elders, I gave this my daughter to this man for a wife, and now he has hated her, and attaches reproachful words to her, saying, I have not found tokens of virginity with thy daughter, and these are the tokens of my daughter's virginity. And they shall unfold the garment before the elders of the city, and the elders of the city shall take that man, and shall chastise him, and shall fine him 100 shekels, and shall give them to the father of the damsel, because he has wrought forth an evil name against a virgin of Israel. And she shall be his wife, he shall never be able to put her away. And the token of virginity is when a woman's a virgin, there's a little bit of blood. What they do is they lay down a blanket or a garment or some sort, and it would basically catch some of the blood, and that would be the tokens. So, yeah. But if this report be true, and the tokens of virginity be not found in the damsel, then they shall bring out the damsel to the door of her father's house, and shall stone her with stones, and she shall die, because she has wrought folly among the children of Israel, to defile the house of her father by whoring. So thou shalt remove the evil one from among you. And if a man be found lying with a woman married to a man, ye shall kill them both, the man that lay with the woman, and the woman, so shalt thou remove the wicked one out of Israel. And if there be a young damsel espoused to a man, and a man shall have found her in the city and have lain with her, ye shall bring them both out of the gate of their city, and they shall be stoned with stones, and they shall die. The damsel because she cried not in the city, and the man because he humbled his neighbor's spouse. So shalt thou remove the evil one from yourselves. But if a man find in the field a damsel that is betrothed, and he should force her and lie with her, and ye shall slay the man that lay with her only, and the damsel has not committed a sin worthy of death, as if a man should rise up against his neighbor and slay him, so is this thing. Because he found her in the field, the betrothed damsel cried, and there was none to help her. And if anyone should find a young virgin who has not been betrothed, and should force her and lie with her, and be found, the man who lay with her shall give to the father of the damsel 50 silver shekels, and she shall be his wife, because he has humbled her. He shall never be able to put her away. Chapter 23. A man shall not take his father's wife, and shall not uncover his father's skirt. He that has fractured or mutilated his private parts shall not enter into the assembly of Yahuah. One born of a harlot shall not enter the assembly of Yahuah. An Ammonite and a Moabite shall not enter into the assembly of Yahuah. Even until the 10th generation he shall not enter into the assembly of Yahuah, even forever. Because they met you not with bread and water by the way, when ye went out of Egypt, because they hired against the Balaam, the son of Beor of Mesopotamia, to curse you. But Yahuah the Elohim would not hearken to Balaam. And Yahuah the Elohim changed the curses into blessings, because Yahuah the Elohim loved you. Thou shalt not speak peaceably or profitably to them all thy days forever. Thou shalt not abhor an Edomite, because he is thy brother. Thou shalt not abhor an Egyptian, because thou wast a stranger in his land. If sons be born to them, in the 3rd generation they shall enter into the assembly of Yahuah. And if thou shouldst go forth to engage with thine enemies, then thou shalt keep thee from every wicked thing. If there should be in thee a man who is not clean by reason of his issue by night, then he shall go forth out of the camp, and he shall not enter into the camp. And it shall come to pass toward the evening he shall wash his body with water, and when the sun has gone down, he shall go into the camp. And thou shalt have a place outside of the camp. And thou shalt go out thither, and thou shalt have a trowel on thy girdle, and it shall come to pass, when thou wouldst relieve thyself abroad, thou shalt dig with it, and shalt bring back the earth and cover thy nuisance. Because Yahuah the Elohim walks in thy camp to deliver you, and to give up thine enemy before thy face. And thy camp shall be holy, and there shall not appear in thee a disgraceful thing, and so he shall turn away from you. Thou shalt not deliver a servant to his master, who coming from his master attaches himself to you. He shall dwell with you. He shall dwell among you where he shall please. Thou shalt not afflict him. There shall not be a harlot of the daughters of Israel, and there shall not be a fornicator of the sons of Israel. There shall not be an idolatress of the daughters of Israel, and there shall not be an initiated person of the sons of Israel. What is that? Doesn't show, okay. Thou shalt not bring the hire of a harlot, nor the price of a dog into the house of Yahuah the Elohim for any vow, because even both are an abomination to Yahuah the Elohim. Thou shalt not lend to thy brother on usury of, so this is interest, usury of silver, or usury of meat, or usury of anything which thou mayest lend out. Thou mayest lend on usury to a stranger, but to thy brother thou shalt not lend on usury. That Yahuah the Elohim may bless you in all thy works upon the land into which thou art entering to inherit it. And if thou wilt vow a vow to Yahuah the Elohim, thou shalt not delay to pay it, for Yahuah the Elohim will surely require it of you, and otherwise it shall be sin in you. But if thou shouldst be unwilling to vow, it is not sin in you. Thou shalt observe the words that proceed from between thy lips, and thou hast vowed a gift to Yahuah the Elohim, so shalt thou do that which thou hast spoken with thy mouth. And if thou shouldst go into the cornfield of thy neighbor, then thou mayest gather the ears with thy hands. Thou shalt not put the sickle to thy neighbor's corn. And if thou shouldst go into the vineyard of thy neighbor, thou shalt eat grapes sufficient to satisfy thy desire, but thou mayest not put them into a vessel. Chapter 24. If anyone should take a wife and should dwell with her, then it shall come to pass, if she would not have found favor before him, because he has found some unbecoming thing in her, that he should write her for her a bill of divorcement and give it into her hands, and he shall send her away out of thine house. And if she should go away and be married to another man, and the last husband should hate her, and write for her a bill of divorcement, and should give it into her hands, and send her away out of his house, and the last husband should die, who took her to himself for a wife, the former husband who sent her away shall not be able to return and take her to himself for a wife after she has been defiled, because it is an abomination. Here's another one. It is an abomination before Yahuah the Elohim, and ye shall not defile the land which Yahuah the Elohim gives you to inherit. And if anyone should have recently taken a wife, he shall not go out to war, neither shall anything be laid upon him. He shall be free in his house for 1 year. He shall cheer his wife whom he has taken. Thou shalt not take for a pledge under the millstone, nor the upper millstone, for he who does so takes life for a pledge. And if a man should be caught stealing one of his brethren of the children of Israel, and having overcome him, he should sell him, that thief shall die. And so shalt thou remove that evil one from yourselves. Take heed to thyself in regard to the plague of leprosy. Thou shalt take great heed to do according to all the Torah, which the priests, the Levites, shall report to you. Take heed to do as I have charged you. Remember all that Yahuah the Elohim did to Miriam in the way when you were going out of Egypt. If thy neighbor owe you a debt, any debt whatsoever, thou shalt not go into his house to take his pledge. Thou shalt stand without, and the man who is in thy debt shall bring the pledge out to you. And if the man be poor, and thou shalt not sleep with his pledge, thou shalt surely restore his pledge at sunset, and he shall sleep in his garment, and he shall bless you. It shall be mercy to you before Yahuah the Elohim. Thou shalt not unjustly withhold the wages of the poor and needy of thy brethren, or of the strangers who are in your cities. Thou shalt pay him his wages the same day. The sun shall not go down upon it, because he is poor. That's interesting. Hang on 1 second. Yeah, shall pay him his wages the same day. The sun shall not go down upon it. The next day. Because he is poor and he trusts in it. And he shall cry against you to Yahuah, and it shall be sin in you. The father shall not be put to death for the children, and the son shall not be put to death for the fathers. Everyone shall be put to death for his own sin. Thou shalt not wrest the judgment of the stranger and the fatherless and widow, and thou shalt not take the widow's garment for a pledge. And thou shalt remember that thou wast a bondman in the land of Egypt, and Yahuah the Elohim redeemed you from thence. Therefore I charge you to do this thing. And when thou shalt have reaped corn in thy field, and shalt have forgotten a sheaf in thy field, thou shalt not return to take it. It shall be for the stranger, and for the orphan, and the widow, that Yahuah the Elohim may bless you in all the works of thy hands. And if thou shouldst gather in thine olives, thou shalt not return to collect the remainder. It shall be for the stranger, and for the fatherless, and the widow. And thou shalt remember that thou wast a bondman in the land of Egypt. Therefore I command you to do this thing. And whensoever thou shalt gather the grapes of thy vineyard, thou shalt not glean what thou hast left. It shall be for the stranger, and the orphan, and the widow. And thou shalt remember that thou wast a bondman in the land of Egypt. Therefore I command you to do this thing. Chapter 25. And if there should be a dispute between men, and they should come forward to judgment, and the judges judge, and justify the righteous, and condemn the wicked, then it shall come to pass, if the unrighteous should be worthy of stripes, thou shalt lay him down before the judges, and they shall scourge him before them according to his iniquity. They shall scourge him with 40 stripes in number, they shall not inflict more. For if thou shouldst scourge him with more stripes beyond these, thy brother will be disgraced before you. Thou shalt not muzzle the ox that treads out the corn. And if brethren should live together, and one of them should die, and should not have seed, the wife of the deceased shall not marry out of the family to a man not related. Her husband's brother shall go in to her, and shall take her himself for a wife, and shall dwell with her. And it shall come to pass that the child which she shall bear shall be named by the name of the deceased, and his name shall not be blotted out of Israel. And if the man should not be willing to take his brother's wife, then shall the woman go up to the gate of the elders, and she shall say, My husband's brother will not raise up the name of his brother in Israel. My husband's brother has refused. And the elders of the city shall call him and speak to him. And if he shall stand and say, I will not take her, then his brother's wife shall come forward before the elders, and shall loose one shoe from off his foot, and shall spit in his face, and shall answer and say, Thus shall they do to the man who shall not build his brother's house in Israel. And his name shall be called in Israel, the house of him that has his shoe loosed. And if men should strive together, and a man with his brother, and the wife of one of them should advance to rescue her husband out of the hand of him that smites him, and she should stretch forth her hand and take hold of his private parts, thou shalt cut off her hand, thine eye shall not spare her. Thou shalt not have in thy bag diverse weights, a great and small. Thou shalt not have in thine house diverse measures, a great and small. Thou shalt have a true and just weight, and a true and just measure, that thou mayest live long upon the land which Yahuah the Elohim gives you for an inheritance. For everyone that does this is an abomination. There's another one. Is an abomination to Yahuah the Elohim, everyone that does injustice. Remember what things Amalek did to you by the way when thou wentest forth out of the land of Egypt, how he withstood you in the way and harassed thy rear, even those that were weary behind you. And thou didst hunger and wast weary, and he did not fear Elohim. And it shall come to pass, whenever Yahuah the Elohim shall have given thee rest from all thine enemies round about, in the land which Yahuah the Elohim gives you to inherit, thou shalt blot out the name of Amalek from under heaven, and shall not forget to do it. Deuteronomy 26, and it shall be when thou shalt have entered into the land which Yahuah the Elohim gives you to inherit it, and thou shalt have inherited it, thou shalt have dwelt upon it, that thou shalt take of the first fruits of the land which Yahuah the Elohim gives you, thou shalt put them into a basket, and thou shalt go to the place which Yahuah the Elohim shall choose to have his name called there. And thou shalt come to the priest who shall be in those days, and thou shalt say to him, I testify this day to Yahuah the Elohim, that I am come into the land which Yahuah sware to our fathers to give us. And the priest shall take the basket out of thine hands, and shall set it before the altar of Yahuah the Elohim. And he shall answer and say before Yahuah the Elohim, My father abandoned Syria, and went into Egypt, and sojourned there with a small number, and became there a mighty nation and a great multitude. Which, by the way, my father abandoned Syria. This is Jacob coming out of Syria with Laban. And the Egyptians afflicted us, and humbled us, and imposed hard tasks on us. We cried to Yahuah our Elohim, and Yahuah heard our voice, and saw our humiliation, and our labor, and our affliction. And Yahuah brought us out of Egypt himself with his great strength, and his mighty hand, and his high arm, and with great visions, and with signs, and with wonders. And he brought us into this place, and gave us this land, a land flowing with milk and honey. And now, behold, I have brought the first fruits of the land which thou gavest me, O Yahuah, a land flowing with milk and honey. And thou shalt leave it before Yahuah the Elohim, and thou shalt worship before Yahuah the Elohim. And thou shalt rejoice in all good things which Yahuah the Elohim has given you, you and your family, and the Levite, and the stranger that is within you. And when thou shalt have completed all the tithings of thy fruits in the 3rd year, thou shalt give the 2nd tenth to the Levite, and stranger, and fatherless, and widow, and they shall eat it in thy cities, and be merry. And thou shalt say before Yahuah the Elohim, I have fully collected the holy things out of my house, and I have given them to the Levite, and the stranger, and the orphan, and the widow, according to all the commands which thou didst command me. I did not transgress thy commandment, and I did not forget it. And in my distress I did not eat of them. I have not gathered of them for an unclean purpose. I have not given of them to the dead. I have hearkened to the voice of Yahuah our Elohim. I have done as thou hast commanded me. Look down from thy holy house, from heaven, and bless thy people Israel, and the land which thou hast given them, as thou didst swear to our fathers, to give to us a land flowing with milk and honey. On this day Yahuah the Elohim charged thee to keep all the ordinances and judgments, and ye shall observe and do them with all your heart and with all your soul. Thou hast chosen Elohim this day to be thy Elohim, and to walk in all his ways, and to observe his ordinances and judgments, and to hearken to his voice. And Yahuah has chosen thee this day, that thou shouldst be to him a peculiar people, as he said, to keep his commands, and that thou shouldst be above all nations, as he has made thee renowned, and a boast, and glorious, and that thou shouldst be a holy people to Yahuah the Elohim, as he has spoken. Chapter 27. And Moshe and the elders of Israel commanded, saying, Keep all these commands, all that I command you this day. And it shall come to pass in the day when ye shall cross over Jordan into the land which Yahuah the Elohim gives you, that thou shouldst set up for thyself great stones, and shalt plaster them with plaster. And thou shalt write on these stones all the words of this Torah, as soon as ye have crossed Jordan, when ye are entered into the land which Yahuah Eloheinu of thy fathers gives you, a land flowing with milk and honey, according as Yahuah Eloheinu of thy fathers said to you. And it shall come to, and it shall be, as soon as ye are gone over Jordan, ye shall set up these stones, which I command you this day, on Mount Gebal, and thou shalt plaster them with plaster. And thou shalt build there an altar to Yahuah the Elohim, an altar of stones. Thou shalt not lift up iron upon it. Of whole stones shalt thou build an altar to Yahuah the Elohim. And thou shalt offer upon it whole burnt offerings to Yahuah the Elohim. And thou shalt there offer peace offerings. And thou shalt eat and be filled and rejoice before Yahuah the Elohim. And thou shalt write upon the stones all this Torah very plainly. And Moshe and the priests and all the Levites spoke to all Yisrael, saying, Be silent and hear, O Yisrael. This day thou art become a people to Yahuah thy Elohim. And thou shalt hearken to the voice of Yahuah thy Elohim, and shalt do all his commandments and his ordinances, as many as I command you this day. And Moshe charged the people in that day, saying, These shall stand to bless the people on Mount Gerizim, having gone over Jordan: Simeon, Levi, Yehudah, Issachar, Joseph, and Benjamin. And these shall stand for cursing on Mount Gebal: Reuben, Gad, Asher, Zebulun, Dan, and Naphtali. And the Levites shall answer and say to all Israel with a loud voice, Cursed is the man whosoever shall make a graven or molten image, an abomination to Yahuah, the work of the hands of the craftsman, and shall put it in a secret place. And all the people shall answer and say, So be it. Cursed is the man that dishonors his father or his mother. And all the people shall say, So be it. Cursed is he that removes his neighbor's landmarks, and all the people shall say, So be it. Cursed is he that makes the blind to wander in the way, and all the people shall say, So be it. Cursed is everyone that shall pervert the judgment of the stranger, and the orphan, and the widow, and all the people shall say, So be it. Cursed is he that lies with his father's wife, because he has uncovered his father's skirt, and all the people shall say, So be it. Cursed is he that lies with any beast, and all the people shall say, So be it. Cursed is he that lies with his sister by his father or his mother, and all the people shall say, So be it. Cursed is he that lies with his daughter-in-law, and all the people shall say, So be it. Cursed is he that lies with his wife's sister, and all the people shall say, So be it. Cursed is he that smites his neighbor secretly, and all the people shall say, So be it. Cursed is he whosoever have taken a bribe to slay an innocent man, and all the people shall say, So be it. Cursed is every man that continues not in all the words of this Torah to do them, and all the people shall say, So be it. All right, chapter 28, the blessings and the curses, brothers and sisters. And truly, a lot of you that have started to walk out Torah have started to see some of these blessings in your lives. And it shall come to pass, if thou wilt indeed hear the voice of Yahuah the Elohim, to observe and do all these commands which I charge you this day, that Yahuah the Elohim shall set thee on high above all the nations of the earth. And these blessings shall come upon you, and shall find you, if thou wilt indeed hear the voice of Yahuah the Elohim. Blessed shalt thou be in the city, and blessed shalt thou be in the field. Blessed shall be the offspring of thy body, and the fruits of thy land, and the herds of thy oxen, and the flocks of thy sheep. Blessed shall be thy barns and thy stores. Blessed shalt thou be in thy coming in, and blessed shalt thou be in thy going out. Yahuah, deliver thine enemies that withstand thee, utterly broken before thy face. They shall come out against thee in one way, and they shall flee 7 ways from before you. Yahuah, send upon you his blessing in thy barns, and on all which thou shalt put in thine hand, and in the land which the Yahuah the Elohim gives you. Yahuah raise you up for himself a holy people, as he sware to thy fathers, if thou wilt hear the voice of Yahuah the Elohim, and walk in all his ways. And all the nations of the earth shall see you, that the name of Yahuah is called upon you, and they shall stand in awe of you. And Yahuah the Elohim shall multiply you for good in the offspring of thy body. I can't tell you how many stories I've seen of brothers and sisters that could not conceive, and then coming into Torah, conceiving. And in the offspring of thy cattle, and in the fruits of thy land, and on the land which Yahuah sware to thy fathers to give you, may Yahuah open to you his good treasure, the heaven, to give rain in the land and thy season. May he bless all the works of thy hands. So shalt thou lend to many nations, but thou shalt not borrow. And thou shalt rule over many nations, but they shall not rule over you. Yahuah the Elohim make thee the head and not the tail, and thou shalt then be above, and thou shalt not be below. If thou wilt hearken to the voice of Yahuah the Elohim and all the things that I charge you this day to observe, thou shalt not turn aside from any of the commandments which I charge you this day, to the right hand or to the left, to go after other Elohim to serve them. So again, well, here we get confirmation that if we're not keeping his commands, we're keeping someone else's commands, either ourselves or someone else's commands. That's serving other Elohim. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken to the voice of Yahuah the Elohim to observe all his commandments, as many as I charge you this day, then all the curses shall come on you and overtake you. Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field. Cursed shall be thy barns and thy stores. Cursed shall be the offspring of thy body, and the fruits of thy land, the herds of thine oxen, and the flocks of thy sheep. Cursed shalt thou be in thy coming in, and cursed shalt thou be in thy going out. Yahuah send upon you want and famine and consumption on all things on which thou shalt put thy hand, until he shall have utterly destroyed you, and until he shall have consumed thee quickly because of thine evil devices, because thou hast forsaken me. Yahuah cause the pestilence to cleave to you, until he shall have consumed you off the land into which thou goest to inherit it. Yahuah smites you with distress and fever and cold and inflammation and blighting and paleness, and they shall pursue you until they have destroyed you, and thou shalt have over thine head a sky of brass, and under you there shall be iron. Yahuah the Elohim make the rain of thy land dust, and dust shall come down from heaven until it shall have destroyed you, and until it shall have quickly consumed you. Yahuah give thee up for slaughter before thine enemies. Thou shalt go out against them one way, and flee from their face 7 ways. And thou shalt be a dispersion in all the kingdoms of the earth. And your dead men shall be food to the birds of the sky, and to the beasts of the earth, and there shall be none to scare them away. Yahuah smites you with the botch of Egypt in the seat, and with a malignant scab and an itch, so thou canst not be healed. Yahuah smites you with insanity, and blindness, and astonishment of mind. And thou shalt grope at midday as a blind man would grope in the darkness. And thou shalt not prosper in thy ways. And then thou shalt be unjustly treated, and plundered continually, and there shall be no helper. Thou shalt take a wife, and another man shall have her. Thou shalt build a house, and shalt not dwell in it. Thou shalt plant a vineyard, and shalt not gather the grapes of it. Thy calf shall be slain before you, and shall not eat of it. Thine ass shall be violently taken away from you, and shall not be restored, to you. Thy sheep shall be given to thine enemies, and thou shalt have no helper. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given to another nation, and thine eyes wasting away shall look for them. Thine hand shall have no strength. A nation which thou knowest not shall eat the produce of thy land, and all thy labors, and thou shalt be injured and crushed always. And thou shalt be distracted because of the sights of thine eyes which thou shalt see. Yahuah smites you with an evil sore on the knees and in the legs. Thou shalt not be able to be healed from the sole of thy foot to the crown of thy head. Yahuah carry away you and thy princes, whom thou shalt set over you, to a nation which neither you or your fathers know. And thou shalt there serve other Elohim, wood and stone. And thou shalt be there for a wonder, and a parable, and a tale among all nations, to which Yahuah the Elohim shall carry you away. You shall carry forth much seed into the field, and thou shalt bring in little, because the locust shall devour it. Thou shalt plant a vineyard, and distress it, and shalt not drink the wine. Neither shalt thou delight thyself with it, because the worm shall devour it. Thou shalt have olive trees in all thy borders, and thou shalt not anoint thee with oil, because thine olive shall utterly cast its fruit. Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, and they shall not be thine, for they shall depart into captivity. All thy trees and the fruits of thy land shall the blight consume. The stranger that is within you shall get up very high, and thou shalt come down very low. He shall lend to you, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and you shall be the tail. And all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue you, and shall overtake you, until he have consumed you, until he shall have destroyed you, because thou didst not hearken to the voice of Yahuah the Elohim, to keep his commands and his ordinances which he has commanded you. These things shall be signs in you and wonders among thy seed forever, because thou didst not serve Yahuah the Elohim with gladness and a good heart, because of the abundance of all things. And thou shalt serve thine enemies, which Yahuah will send forth against you, in hunger and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in the want of all things. And thou shalt wear upon thy neck a yoke of iron until he shall have destroyed you. Yahuah shall bring upon you a nation from the extremity of the earth, like the swift flying of an eagle, a nation whose voice thou shalt not understand, a nation bold in countenance, which shall not respect the person of the aged, and shall not pity the young. And it shall eat up the young of thy cattle, and the fruits of thy land, so as not to leave thee corn, wine, oil, the herds of thine oxen, and the flocks of thy sheep, until it shall have been destroyed you, and utterly crushed thee in thy cities, until the high and strong walls be destroyed, in which thou trustest in all thy land. And it shall afflict you in thy cities, which he has given to you. And thou shalt eat of the fruit of thy body, the flesh of thy sons and of thy daughters, all that he has given you, in thy straitness and in thy affliction, with which thine enemies shall afflict you. He that is tender and very delicate within you shall look with an evil eye upon his brother and the wife of his bosom, and the children that are left, which may have been left to him, so as not to give to one of them the flesh of his children, whom he shall eat, because of his having nothing left in thy straitness and in thy affliction, which thine enemies shall afflict thee in all thy cities. And she that is tender and delicate among you, whose foot has not essayed to go up upon the earth for delicacy and tenderness, shall look with an evil eye on her husband in her bosom, and her son and her daughter, and her offspring that comes out between her feet, and the child which she shall bear, for she shall eat them because of the want of all things, secretly in thy straitness and in thy affliction, with which thine enemy shall afflict thee in thy cities. If thou wilt not hearken to do all the words of this Torah, which have been written in this book, to fear this glorious and wonderful name, Yahuah thy Elohim, then Yahuah shall magnify thy plagues, and the plagues of thy seed, and great and wonderful plagues, and evil and abiding diseases. And he shall bring upon you all the evil pain of Egypt, of which thou wast afraid, and they shall cleave to you. And Yahuah shall bring upon you every sickness, and the plague that is not written, and every one that is written in the book of this Torah, until he shall have destroyed you. And ye shall be left few in number, whereas you were as the stars of the sky in multitude, because thou didst not hearken to the voice of Yahuah the Elohim. And it shall come to pass that Yahuah rejoiced over you to do... And it shall come to pass that as Yahuah rejoiced over you to do you good and to multiply you, so Yahuah will rejoice over you to destroy you. And ye shall be quickly removed from the land into whither ye go to inherit it. And Yahuah the Elohim shall scatter you among all the nations from one end of the earth to the other. And thou shalt there serve other Elohim, wood and stone, which thou hast not known, nor thy fathers. Moreover, among those nations he will not give thee quiet, neither by any means shall the sole of thy foot have rest. And Yahuah shall give you there another and a misgiving heart, and failing eyes, and a wasting soul. And thy life shall be in suspense before thine eyes, and thou shalt be afraid by day and by night, and thou shalt have no assurance of thy life. In the morning thou shalt say, would it were evening, and in the evening thou shalt say, would it were morning. For the fear of thine heart, for which thou shalt fear, for the sights of thine eyes, with which thou shalt see, and Yahuah shall bring thee back to Egypt in ships, by the way of which I said thou shalt not see it again. And ye shall be sold there to your enemies for bondwomen and bondwomen, and none shall buy you. These are the words of the covenant which Yahuah commanded Moshe to make with the children of Israel in the land of Moab, beside the covenant which he made with them in Horeb. All right, chapter 29. Sorry. And Moshe called all the sons of Israel and said to them, Ye have seen all the thing that Yahuah did in the land of Egypt before you to Pharaoh and his servants and all his land, the great temptations which thine eyes have seen, the signs and those great wonders. Yet Yahuah Eloheinu has not given you a heart to know, and eyes to see, and ears to hear until this day. And he led you 40 years in the wilderness. Your garments did not grow old, and your sandals were not worn away off your feet. Ye did not eat bread, ye did not drink wine or strong drink, that ye might know that I am Yahuah, your Elohim. And ye came as far as this place, and there came forth Sihon, king of Heshbon, and Og, king of Bashan, to meet us in war. And we smote them and took their land. And I gave it for an inheritance to Reuben and Gad and the half tribe of Manasseh. And ye shall take heed to do all the words of this covenant, that ye may understand all things that ye shall do. Ye all stand today before Yahuah your Elohim, the heads of your tribes, and your elders, and your judges, and your officers, every man of Israel, your wives, and your children, and the stranger who is in the midst of your camp, from your hewer of your wood, even to your drawer of water, that thou shouldst enter into the covenant of Yahuah the Elohim, and into his oaths, as many as Yahuah the Elohim appoints you this day, that he may appoint you to himself for a people, and he shall be thy Elohim, as he said to you, and as he sware to thy fathers, Avraham, and Yitzchak, and Yaakov. And I do not appoint to you alone this covenant and this oath, But to those who are here with, but to those also who are with you today before Yahuah your Elohim, and to those who are not here with you today. And so this is actually really interesting. We went over this a few weeks ago. So this is kind of prophesying that this covenant, it's not just for the people that were standing there that day of the children of Israel and the strangers, but also who was not standing with them. So it's for perpetual generations. So this even applies to you right now. And again, and to those who are not here with you today. For ye know how we dwelt in the land of Egypt, and how we came through the midst of the nations whom ye came. And ye beheld their abominations, and their idols, wood and stone, silver and gold, which were among them, lest there be among you man or woman or family or tribe, whose heart has turned aside from Yahuah your Elohim, having gone to serve other Elohim of these nations, lest there be in you a root springing up with gall and bitterness. And it shall be, if one shall hear the words of this curse, and shall flatter himself in his heart, saying, Let good happen to me, for I will walk in the error of my heart, lest the sinner destroy the guiltless with him. Elohim shall by no means be willing to pardon him, but then the wrath of Yahuah and his jealousy shall flame out against that man, and all the curses of this covenant shall attach themselves to him, which are written in this book, and Yahuah shall blot out his name from under heaven. And Yahuah shall separate that man for evil of all the children of Israel, according to all the curses of the covenant that are written in this book of the Torah. And another generation shall say, even your sons, who shall rise up after you, and the stranger, who shall come from a land far off, and shall see the plagues of that land, and their diseases, which Yahuah has sent upon it, brimstone, burning salt. The whole land shall not be sown, neither shall any green thing spring, nor arise upon it, as Sodom and Gomorrah were overthrown, Admah and Seboim, which Yahuah overthrew in his wrath and anger. And all the nations shall say, Why has Yahuah done thus to this land? What is this great fierceness of his anger? Men shall say, Because they forsook the covenant of Yahuah their fathers, the things which he appointed to their fathers, when he brought them out of the land of Egypt. And they went and served other Elohim, which they knew not, neither did he assign to them. And Yahuah was exceedingly angry with that land, to bring upon it according to all the curses which are written in the book of this Torah. And Yahuah removed them from their land in anger and wrath and very great indignation, and cast them out into another land as at present. The secret things belong to Yahuah Elohim, but the things that are revealed belong to us and to our children forever, to do all the words of this Torah. Chapter 30. This is a big chapter for us, brothers and sisters. This is, quite frankly, when we read like Matthew 24 and other signs of the end times, wars and rumors of wars and nation against nation and pestilence and diverse places and earthquake, all that kind of stuff. He also talked about the fig tree generation that would put forth its leaves, and a lot of you, have been told that it's that political state of Israel over there. It's not the case. You are Israel. Those of you that have been reconciled back to the Father by faith in Messiah and continuing in the faith by keeping his Torah, by keeping his commandments, you are Israel. And so I believe in these last days, this is the generation that's putting forth its leaves, right? This generation shall not pass until all these things happen. So what I'm saying all that to say this right here is talking about the very last days, when there's a generation of people waking up, keeping his commandments like it hasn't been done in 1900 years, roughly. That point is when he's going to return and regather his people. So this is literally one of my favorite chapters in all Scripture. So here we go. Deuteronomy Chapter 30, and it shall come to pass when all these things have come upon you. So this is like, again, after everything has gone down, the blessing and the curse which I have set before your face, and shall call them to mind among all the nations wherein Yahuah has scattered you, and shall return to Yahuah the Elohim, and shall hearken to his voice, according to all things which I charge you this day, with all your heart and with all your soul. That then Yahuah shall heal your iniquities, and shall pity you, and shall again gather you out from all the nations among which Yahuah has scattered you. So this is the second Exodus, the regathering, the taking away, whatever you want to call it. If thy dispersion be from one end of heaven to the other, thence Yahuah the Elohim will gather you, and thence will Yahuah the Elohim take you. And Yahuah the Elohim shall bring you in from thence into the land which thy fathers have inherited, and shall inherit it, and he will do you good and multiply you above your fathers. And Yahuah shall purge your heart and the heart of your seed to love Yahuah your Elohim with all your heart and with all your soul, that you may live. And Yahuwah the Elohim will put these curses upon your enemies and upon those that hate you, who have persecuted you. And you shall return and hearken to the voice of Yahuwah your Elohim, and shall keep his commandments, and all that I charge you this day. And Yahuwah the Elohim shall bless you in every work of your hands, and the offspring of your body, and in the offspring of your cattle, and the fruit of your land, because Yahuwah the Elohim will again rejoice over you for good, as he rejoiced of your fathers, if thou wilt hearken to the voice of Yahuwah your Elohim, to keep his commandments, and his ordinances, and his judgments, written in the book of this Torah. If thou shalt turn to Yahuwah thy Elohim with all thy heart and with all thy soul. Now listen carefully. He's telling you right here, you can keep the Torah. It's not too hard. People say, oh, nobody can keep the Torah. Nobody can keep the commandments. That's not what the Torah says. For this command which I give you this day is not grievous, right? It's not hard. Neither is it far from you. It's not like distant, right? It's not in heaven above, as if there were one saying, who shall go up to us into heaven and shall take it for us, and we will hear and do it. Right? It's not all the way up in heaven, so it's not too far from us. Neither is it beyond the sea, saying, who will go over for us to the other side of the sea and take it for us and make it audible to us, and we will do it. He's saying that's not the case. He said the word is very close to you, very near you, in your mouth and in your heart and in your hands to do it. Right? He's like, you can do this Torah. It's not grievous. It's not hard. And this was repeated in 1 John, the letter of 1 John. He's like, keeping the commandments of keeping the commands, it's not grievous. They're easy. Behold, it's a little bit of a lifestyle change, right? And you have to make some lifestyle changes, and certainly you get some persecution from family members or friends or loved ones or coworkers, or again, lifestyle changes. But when you actually do his Torah, it's actually very easy and it's very delightful. Behold, and it's actually, again, it's only hard if you love the world and the things of the world, if you love, idolatry and covetousness and other things. Behold, I have set before you this day life and death, good and evil. If thou wilt hearken to the commands of Yahuwah the Elohim, which I command thee this day, to love Yahuwah the Elohim, to walk in all his ways, and to keep his ordinances and his judgments, then ye shall live, and shall be many in number, and Yahuwah the Elohim shall bless you in all the land which thou goest to inherit it. Right? So he said the commandments are life. And that's part of the whole saying. Messiah said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. He was literally the word that came alive. Right? And the Torah is known as the way, Psalm 119:1, the truth, Psalm 119:142, and the life, which is actually here, and really Deuteronomy 32:46 through 47, which we'll read here in a little bit. But this is life. If we want to enter into life, what did Messiah say? He said, good master, what should I do to live? He said, how do you read the commandments, right? That's how you live. But if thy heart change, and thou wilt not hearken, and thou shalt go astray, and worship other Elohim, and serve them, I declare to you this day that ye shall utterly perish, and ye shall by no means live long upon the land into which ye go over the Jordan to inherit it. I call both heaven and earth to witness this day against you. I have set before you life and death, the blessing and the curse. Choose thou life. Right here again, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Yahusha is the word. He's the Torah. That you and your seed may live to love Yahuwah thy Elohim, to hearken to his voice, and cleave to him, for this is thy life. Hearkening to his voice, keeping his commandments, is your life, and the length of thy days that thou shouldst dwell upon the land, which Yahuwah swore to thy fathers, Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, to give them. And again, the same parable that we are taught with the people that did not keep his commandments in the wilderness, they were not able to go into the rest. We're still waiting for New Jerusalem, our rest. And Moshe, chapter 31. And Moshe finished speaking all the words to all the children of Israel, and said to them, I am this day 120 years old. I shall not be able to any longer come in or go out. And Yahuwah said to me, thou shalt not go over this Jordan. Yahuwah, the Elohim who goes before you, he shall destroy those nations before you, and thou shalt inherit them. And it shall be Yahusha that goes before thy face, as Yahuwah has spoken. And Yahuwah, the Elohim, shall do to them as he did to Sihon and Og, the two kings of the Amorites, who were beyond Jordan, and to their land, as he destroyed them. And Yahuwah has delivered them to you, and ye shall do them as I charged you. Be courageous and strong. Fear not, neither be cowardly, neither be afraid before them. For it is Yahuah your Elohim that advances with you in the midst of you. Neither will he by any means forsake you, nor desert you. And Moshe called Yahusha and said to him before all Israel, Be courageous and strong. Rak chazak amat. It's like the battle cry. For thou shalt go in before this people into the land which Yahuah sware to your fathers to give to them, and thou shalt give it to them for an inheritance. And Yahuah that goes with you shall not forsake you, nor abandon you. Fear not, neither be afraid. Right? How many times did Yahusha, our Messiah, say, fear not, don't fear, don't fear, don't fear. And Moshe wrote the words of this Torah in a book and gave it to the priests, the sons of Levi, who bear the ark of the covenant of Yahuah, and the elders of the sons of Israel. And Moshe charged them that day, saying, After 7 years in the time of the year of release, in the feast of Tabernacles, this right here is like why I'm doing this. Let me say again. Verse 10 through 13. And Moshe charged them that day, saying, After 7 years in the time of the year of release, which I don't know if this is or not, but we are in the Feast of Tabernacles, the Feast of Sukkot, when all Yisrael come together, appear before Yahuah your Elohim, in the place which Yahuah shall choose. Ye shall read this Torah before all Yisrael in their ears, having assembled the people, the men, and the women, and the children, and the stranger that is within your cities, that they may hear, and that they may learn to fear Yahuah your Elohim, and they shall hearken to do all the words of this Torah. And their sons who have not known shall hear, and they shall learn to fear Yahuah thy Elohim all the days that they live upon the land into which ye go over Jordan to inherit it. And Yahuah said to Moshe, Behold, the days of thy death are at hand. Call Yahusha, and stand ye by the doors of the tabernacle of testimony, and I will give him a charge. And Moshe and Yahusha went to the tabernacle of testimony, and stood by the doors of the tabernacle of testimony. And Yahuah descended in a cloud, and stood by the doors of the tabernacle of testimony, and the pillar of the cloud stood by the doors of the tabernacle of testimony. And Yahuah said to Moshe, Behold, thou shalt sleep with thy fathers, and this people will arise and go a-whoring after the strange Elohim of the land, into which they are entering, and they will forsake me, and break my covenant which I made with them. And I will be very angry with them in that day, and I will leave them and turn my face away from them, and they shall be devoured, and many evils and afflictions shall come upon them. And they shall say in that day, Because Yahuah, my Elohim, is not with me, these evils have come upon me. And I will surely turn away my face from them in that day, because of all their evil doings which they have done, because they have turned aside after a strange Elohim. And now write the words of this song, and teach it to the children of Israel, and ye shall put it into their mouth, that this song may be a witness for me among the children of Israel to their face. For I will bring them into the good land which I swore to their fathers, to give them a land flowing with milk and honey. And they shall eat and be filled and satisfy themselves. Then will they turn aside after other Elohim and serve them. And they will provoke me and break my covenant. And this song shall stand up to witness against them. For they shall not forget it out of their mouth, or out of the mouth of their seed. For I know their wickedness, what they are doing here this day, before I have brought them into the good land which I swear to their fathers. And Moshe wrote this song in that day, and taught it to the children of Israel. And he charged Yahusha, and said, Be courageous and strong, for thou shalt bring the sons of Israel into this land, which Yahuah sware to them, and he shall be with you. And Moshe finished writing all the words of this Torah in a book, even to the end. Then he charged the Levites, who bear the ark of the covenant of Yahuah, saying, Take the book of this Torah, and ye shall put it in the side of the ark of the covenant of Yahuah your Elohim, and it shall be there among you for a testimony. For I know thy provocation, and thy stiff neck. Yet during my life with you at this day ye have been provoking in your conduct towards Elohim. How shall ye not also be so after my death? Gather together to me the heads of your tribes, and your elders, and your judges, and your officers, that I may speak in their ears all these words. And I call both heaven and earth to witness against them. For I know that after my death you will utterly transgress, and turn aside out of the way which I have commanded you. And evil shall come upon you in the latter days, because you will do evil before Yahuah, to provoke him to anger by the works of your hands. And Moshe spoke all the words of this song, even to the end, in the ears of the whole assembly. All right, Deuteronomy 32, the other song of Moshe. The first one is Exodus 15. This one is Deuteronomy 32. Attend, O heaven, and I will speak, and let the earth hear the words out of my mouth. Let my speech be looked for as the rain, and my words come down as the dew, as the shower upon the herbage, and as the snow upon the grass. For I have called on the name of Yahuah. Assign ye greatness to our Elohim. As for Elohim, his works are true. All his ways are judgment. Elohim is faithful, and there is no unrighteousness in him. Just and holy is Yahuah. They have sinned, not pleasing him, spotted children, a froward and perverse generation. Do ye thus recompense Yahuah? Is the people thus foolish and unwise? Did not he himself thy father purchase you, and make you, and form you? Remember the days of old. Consider the years for past ages. Ask thy father, and he shall relate to you, thine elders, and they shall tell you. When the Most High divided the nations, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the nations according to the number of the angels of Elohim. This is a major difference between the Masoretic and the Septuagint. This is telling you that the 70 nations were divided up by 70 angels of Yahuah. This is the number 70 spoken about in the book of Enoch. Anyways, this makes a little more sense when you understand that there's a angel over each of the territories, and that's why, like in Daniel 10, I think it was, when the angel came to give Daniel the word, and it said that he was withstood by the prince of Persia for 21 days, and that Michael had to come and help him. Anyways, it's because these angels are presiding over territories. The Masoretic says, according to the number of the sons of Israel, which is not true. It's according to the number of angels. And his people, Yaakov, became the portion of the Lord of Yahuah. Israel was the line of his inheritance. He maintained him in the wilderness, in burning thirst in a dry land. He led him about and instructed him, and kept him as the apple of an eye. As an eagle would watch over his brood, and yearns over his young, receives them, having spread his wings. And he takes them upon his back. And he takes them up on his back. Yahuah alone led them. There was no strange God among them, with them. He brought them up on the strength of the land. He fed them with the fruits of the fields. They sucked honey out of the rock and oil out of the solid rock. Butter of cows, milk of sheep, with the fat of lambs and rams. Of calves and kids, with fat of kidneys of wheat. And he drank wine, the blood of the grape. So Yaakov ate and was filled, and the beloved one kicked. He grew fat. He became thick and broad. Then he forsook the Elohim that made him, and departed from Elohim his Savior. They provoked me to anger with strange Elohim. With their abominations they bitterly angered me. They sacrificed to devils, and not to Elohim. To Elohim whom they knew not. New and fresh Elohim came in, whom their fathers knew not. Thou hast forsaken Elohim that begot you, and forsaken the Elohim who feeds you. And Yahuah saw and was jealous, and was provoked by the anger of his sons and daughters, and said, I will turn away my face from them. I will show what shall happen to them in the last days, for it is a perverse generation, sons in whom is no faith. They have provoked me to jealousy with that which is not Elohim. They have exasperated me with their idols. I will provoke them to jealousy. With them that are no nation, I will anger them with a nation void of understanding. For a fire has been kindled out of my wrath. It shall burn to hell below. It shall devour the land and the fruits of it. It shall set on fire the foundations of the mountains. I will gather evils upon them, and will fight with my weapons against them. They shall be consumed with hunger and the devouring of birds, and there shall be irremediable destruction. I will send forth against them the teeth of wild beasts, with the rage of serpents creeping on the ground. Without the sword shall bereave them of children, and terror shall issue out of the secret chambers. The young man shall perish with the virgin, the suckling with him who has grown old. I said, I will scatter them. I will cause their memorial to cease from among men. Were it not for the wrath of the enemy, lest they should live long, lest their enemies should combine against them, lest they should say, Our own high arm, and not Yahuah, has done all these things. It is a nation that has lost counsel, neither is there understanding in them. They had not sense to understand. Let them reserve these things against the time to come. How should one pursue 1,000, and two rout tens of thousands, if Elohim had not sold them, and Yahuah delivered them up? For their Elohim are not as our Elohim, but our enemies are void of understanding. For their vine is the vine of Sodom, and their vine branch of Gomorrah. Their grape is a grape of gall. Their cluster is one of bitterness. Their wine is the rage of serpents, and incurable rage of asps. Lo, are not these things stored up by me, and sealed among my treasures? In the day of vengeance I will recompense, whensoever their foot shall be tripped up, for the day of their destruction is near to them. The judgments at hand are close upon you. For Yahuah shall judge his people, and shall be comforted over his servants. For he saw that they were utterly weakened, and failed in the hostile invasion, and were become feeble. And Yahuah said, Where are their Elohim whom they trusted, the fat of whose sacrifices ye ate, and ye drank the wine of their drink offerings? Let them arise and help you, and be your protectors. Behold, that I am he, and there is no Elohim beside me. I kill, and I will make alive. I will smite, and I will heal, and there is none who shall deliver out of my hands. For I will lift up my hand to heaven, and swear by my right hand, and I will say, I live forever. For I will sharpen my sword like lightning, and my hand shall take hold of judgment, and I will render judgment to my enemies, and will recompense them that hate me. I will make my weapons drunk with blood, and my sword shall devour flesh. It shall glut itself with the blood of the wounded, and from the captivity of the heads of their enemies that rule over them. Rejoice, ye heavens, with him, and let all the angels of Elohim worship him. Rejoice, ye Gentiles, with his people, and let all the sons of Elohim strengthen themselves in him. For he will avenge the blood of his sons. He will render vengeance and recompense justice to his enemies, and he will reward them that hate him. And Yahuah shall purge the land of his people. I guess this is good timing. We're almost done. I guess people are mowing their lawn next door. And Moshe wrote this song on that day, and taught it to the children of Israel. And Moshe went in and spoke all the words of this Torah in the ears of the people, and Joshua the son of Nun. And Moshe finished speaking to all Israel. And he said to them, Take heed with your heart to all these words, which I testify you this day, which ye shall command your sons to observe and do all the words of this Torah. For it is no vain word to you, for it is your life. And because of this word, right here saying, your Torah, it's not in vain for you to do it, because it is your life. Right? Remember, Messiah said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Remember, he was the word. For it is no vain word to you, for it is your life. And because of this word, you shall live long upon the land into which you go over Jordan to inherit it. And Yahuah spoke to Moshe in this day, saying, Go up to the Mount Abarim, this mountain Nebu, which is in the land of Moab, over against Jericho. And behold, the land of Canaan, which I give to the sons of Israel. And die in the mount whither you goest up, and be added to your people, as Aharon thy brother died in Mount Or, and was added to his people, because ye disobeyed my word among the children of Israel, at the waters of strife of Cades, in the wilderness of sin, because ye sanctified me not among the sons of Israel. Thou shalt see the land before you, but thou shalt not enter into it. Chapter 33. And this is the blessing with which Moshe, the man of Elohim, blessed the children of Israel before his death. And he said, Yahuah has come from Sinai, and has appeared from Seir to us, and hasted out of the land of Mount Paran. With the tens of thousands of Cades on his right hand were angels with him. And he spared his people, and all his sanctified ones are under my hands. And they are under thee, and he received of his words, which the Torah, which Moshe charged us, an inheritance to the assemblies of Yaakov. And he shall be prince with the beloved one, when the princes of the people are gathered together with the tribes of Israel. Let Reuben live and not die, and let him be many in number. And this is the blessing of Yehuda. Hear Yahuah, the voice of Yehuda, and do visit his people, and his hands shall contend for him, and thou shalt be a help from his enemies. And to Levi he said, Give to Levi his manifestations, and his truth to the holy man, whom they tempted in the temptation. They reviled him at the water of strife, who says to his father and his mother, I have not seen you. And he knew not his brethren, and he refused to know his sons. He kept thine oracles, and observed thy covenant. They shall declare thine ordinances to Yaakov, and thy Torah to Israel. They shall place incense in the time of thy wrath continually upon thine altar. Bless Yahuah his strength, and accept the works of his hands, and break the loins of his enemies that have risen up against him, and let not them that hate him rise up. And to Benjamin he said, The beloved of Yahuah shall dwell in confidence, and Elohim overshadows him always, and he rested between his shoulders. And to Yosef he said, His land is of the blessing of Yahuah, of the seasons of sky and dew, and of the deeps of wells below, and of the fruits of the changes of the sun in seasons, and of the produce of the months, from the top of the ancient mountains, and from the top of the everlasting hills, and of the fullness of the land in season, and let things pleasing to him that dwell in the bush come on the head of Yosef. And on the crown of him who was glorified above his brethren, his beauty is as the firstling of his bull. His horns are as the horns of a unicorn. With them he shall thrust the nations at once, even from the end of the earth. These are the 10,000s of Ephraim, and they are the thousands of Manasseh. And to Zabulon he said, Rejoice, Zabulon, in thy going out. And Issachar in his tents. They shall utterly destroy the nations, and he shall call men there, and there offer the sacrifice of righteousness. For the wealth of the sea shall suckle thee, and so shalt the marts of them that dwell by the seacoast. And to Gad he said, Blessed be he that enlarges Gad. As a lion he rested, having broken the arm and the ruler. And he saw his firstfruits, that they were the land of the princes gathered with the chiefs of the people was divided. Yahuah, sorry about the dogs. Yahuah wrought righteousness and his judgment with Israel. You know what? Hang on. Yeah, we'll just finish, sorry. And he saw his firstfruits, that there the land of the princes gathered with the chiefs of the people was divided. Yahuah wrought righteousness and his judgment with Israel. And to Dan he said, Dan is a lion's whelp. All right, you know what? We're just going to give me a second. Okay, sorry about that. We're going to finish up. And to Dan he said, Dan is a lion's whelp, and shall leap out of Bashan. And to Naphtali he said, Naphtali has the fullness of good things, and let him be filled with blessings from Yahuah. He shall inherit the west and the south. And to Asher he said, Asher is blessed with children, and he shall be acceptable to his brethren. He shall dip his foot in oil. His sandals shall be iron and brass. As thy days, so shall be thy strength. There is not any such as Elohim of the beloved. He who rides upon the heaven is thy helper, and the magnificent one of the firmament. And the ruler of Elohim shall protect you, and that under the strength of the everlasting arms, and he shall cast forth the enemy from before thy face, saying, Perish. And Israel shall dwell in confidence alone on the land of Yaakov, with corn and wine, and the sky shall be misty with dew upon you. Blessed are you, O Israel. Who is like you? O people saved by Yahuah, thy helper shall hold his shield over you, and his sword is thy boast, and thine enemies shall speak falsely to you, and thou shalt tread upon their neck. All right, last chapter, brothers and sisters, Deuteronomy, Debarim, chapter 34, Septuagint version. And Moshe went up from Abaroth, Moab, to Mount Nebo, to the top of Pisgah, which is before Jericho. And Yahuah showed him all Mount Gilead to Dan, and all the land of Naphtali, and all the land of Ephraim and Manasseh, and all the land of Yehudah to the farthest sea, and the wilderness, and the country round about Jericho, the city of palm trees, to Segur. And Yahuah said to Moshe, This is the land of which I swear to Abraham, and Yitzchak, and Yaakov, saying, To your seed will I give it. And I have showed it to thine eyes, but thou shalt not go in thither. So Moshe, the servant of Yahuah, died in the land of Moab by the word of Yahuah, and they buried him in Gai near the house of Fogor, and no one has seen his sepulchre to this day. And Moshe was 120 years old at his death. His eyes were not dimmed, nor were his natural powers destroyed. And the children of Israel wept for Moshe and Abaroth of Moab at Jordan near Jericho 30 days. The days of the sad mourning for Moshe were completed, and Yahusha, the son of Nun, was filled with the spirit of knowledge, for Moshe had laid his hands upon him. And the children of Israel hearkened to him, and they did as Yahuah commanded Moshe. And there rose up no more a prophet in Israel like Moshe, whom Yahuah knew face to face, and all the signs and wonders which Yahuah sent him to work in Egypt on Pharaoh and his servants and all his land, the great wonders and the mighty hand which Moshe displayed before all Israel. Well, brothers and sisters, we have read the entire Torah during Sukkot. Pray that it was acceptable in Yahuah's eyes. And maybe, again, a feeble attempt at trying to fulfill what we read in Deuteronomy 31, 9 through 13. So for those of you that were able to do the entire reading with us together, hey, praise be to Yah. It was great doing it together, and I pray that it blessed you. But more importantly, I pray it was a sweet savor before Yahuah, that there is even people alive today that want to get to know Him and His Torah better, and want to walk in it, and want to do what's pleasing in His eyes. So I pray that this was pleasing in His eyes, and as the Scripture says, that when this is read during the Feast of Sukkot, this is supposed to be, kind of opening to the eyes of those that hadn't seen it before. So maybe you've seen some things you hadn't seen before. I know I did. I took some notes along the way. Found it a great blessing to do this. And maybe you found some interesting things in the Septuagint, like the giraffe. I mean, who knew? I'll have to look into that one a little more. But anyways, this has gone on long enough, so we'll go ahead and pray, and we'll conclude this. And for those of you that are still doing Sukkot like I am, we've got tonight, and then which is the start of the 8th day, which is the last day. And maybe some of you that are local have heard, but we're doing a little gathering in Ozark at Finley River Park at noon. It's going to be a little potluck style, so feel free to bring something, and we will hang out and fellowship and eat and praise Yah, for the gathering. Maybe we'll read a little bit of the Torah or something. So anyways, with that being said, let's pray, and let's bless Yah for this. Heavenly Father, Yahuah Most High, the Elohim of Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, we thank you for allowing us to gather across the 4 corners of your earth in dispersion, and to read and to hear from your Torah during this Feast of Sukkot. And we thank you first and foremost for Yahusha, your word, sending him for us that we may be reconciled to you. We thank you for opening our eyes to the majesty and the relevance and the goodness of your Torah. And we pray that you put it in our hearts that we may do it, and that we may not go to the left or to the right hand of it, but stay on that narrow path. And we just thank you so much, and we rejoice in you and your feasts and your ways. And blessed be you, and please strengthen your people in the midst of everything that's going on, and to keep us focused on you, and to be ready and clean for when Messiah Yahusha returns, that we may be counted as the wise ones, the wise virgins. We love you. We bless you. In Yahusha's name, happy Sukkot. Amen and amen. And let's do a good shofar. This is a good time for a shofar blast. The gardener or the guys cutting the grass want to make noise. Let's make noise too. All right, brothers and sisters. Let's bless each other with the Aaronic blessing, and we'll finish this up. I don't know why those little dots are up there. Yevarechecha Yahuah ve'yishmerecha Ya'er Yahuah panav elecha v'chuneka Yisa Yahuah panav elecha ve'yasem lecha shalom. Yahuah will bless you and keep you. Yahuah will make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. Yahuah will lift up his countenance upon you and give you shalom. Happy Sukkot, brothers and sisters. And for those of you, maybe we'll see you later on tonight at our 8 p.m. Live stream. We'll be reading the book of Tobit. It's not going to be a teaching. It's really going to kind of be a reading of the book of Tobit. So shalom, brothers and sisters. Happy Sukkot, and enjoy your last day and a half or so of it. Talk to you soon. Shalom.